Case number 41 on the calendar in the matter of Poncelet del Sol versus Howell. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Is it Ms. Del Sol?
Yes.
You were hired by the defendant, according to your complaint, to be makeup artist in a photo shoot that he was organizing on the island of Antigua.
Almost. It was a feature film, actually.
And you traveled to Antigua.
Correct.
And it is your claim that he owes you money. He says that he paid you some money, actually, but you left the project and you were a nut while you were there, and you caused him to spend thousands of dollars in downed production time and your replacement, and he has a counterclaim. How much was he supposed to pay you?
$2,000 for my services.
So far, is that correct, Mr. Howell?
Yes, it is.
And what kind of film were you making?
It's an action flick.
How much money did you have to make this film?
About 150,000 US.
Have you ever made a film before?
Yes.
How many films?
2 prior to this.
Where? In what country?
I made one in Antigua, and I made one in New York.
Was the one that you made in New York a full-length feature?
Yes, it was.
Did it sell anything?
It's still in production, post-production.
Was the film that was made in Antigua completed?
It was completed.
Okay. How much were you paid by him of the $2,000 that was agreed upon?
$600.
When did you arrive?
I arrived January 16th,
When did you leave?
February 1st,
When were you supposed to leave?
February 10th.
So you didn't complete the job?
No.
Tell me why.
Because he basically sexually harassed me. The cast was sexually harassing me. They failed to provide me with food and water as agreed upon 3 times a day. Various violent things happened.
What did you eat?
I was lucky to eat 1 time a day, and usually it was a couple pieces of lettuce and an egg. Sometimes I got something called goat water, which is what they do when they take a goat and they kill it and they put it in some rainwater on the front lawn and they boil it, and it's not quite soup.
Where did it say in your contract that he was supposed to provide you with meals?
I actually never received a written contract. That was another reason why we are having this trouble. We have a verbal contract. The contract included that he would pay me for my services rendered, for my makeup kit expenses, for my lodging, food, and transportation, and he was also supposed to supply me with a cell phone, which he never did.
And in exchange for all of that, you were supposed to work from January 16th to February 10th.
Correct.
But you didn't work to February 10th.
I was unable to.
Why?
Through the circumstances that they were putting me through.
How many other people left?
I actually heard a few rumors that a few other people...
I'm not interested in rumors.
Okay.
How many people that you know that you're going to be able to name for me left the production?
I do know for a fact that the wardrobe lady left.
Did the wardrobe lady leave?
No.
Did she finish the production?
She did finish the production.
Did she leave before or after you did?
Before.
So you actually knew she left?
Right. I didn't see her.
Well, why didn't you tell me that first?
It's slipped my mind. I'm sorry.
What happened, Mr. Howell? Why did she leave?
Well, Melissa had to leave for a number of reasons. The main reason was because Melissa was incapable of doing her work. She was smoking and drinking. Her action became so bizarre, it was hilarious at times, dangerous at times. And I had to replace her on more than one occasion with makeup artists because she just could not function.
When you say she was drinking, you mean she was intoxicated?
Well, she was drinking and her behavior would lead me to believe she was intoxicated. But
Give me an example.
On Saturday the 24th of January, I got on set and I was like, yo, you need to go talk to Melissa. I'm like, what's going on? And they said, I don't know what's up. So I went over to her and she was like, why? And
I got it.
Yes, Your Honor. And it was behavior like that. I was like, Melissa, what's going on? And then she was like, oh, Doc. She started complaining about a lot of things that was happening. And then...
What was she complaining about, Mr.
Okay, one of the things she was complaining about is that there was a person who was on the set. He wasn't part of the production team. And Melissa and him had become acquaintance. And she was stating that he was actually trying to have sex with her.
Who was this person, if he wasn't part of the production team?
What happened was we needed some guns, and he had brought, he flew in from New York to bring down some guns for us. His name was Robert.
He flew down to bring guns?
Yes.
What kind of guns?
Prop guns.
Prop guns?
Yes.
So he actually flew down at your request to add things to your production?
To the production, right.
All right, so he was there at your request, and she was complaining that he was making sexual advances towards her?
Yeah, that was a Saturday night, yes.
That was on the 24th?
24th, Saturday the 24th.
So what did you do? What did you say to her?
I told Melissa that I would address the issue after we finish the set. But let's go, let's get you calmed down, and I will talk to him after I got taken care of her and her anxiety.
So what did you do?
So I told her I'm going to do 3 things to make sure that she feels more comfortable on set. Issue number 1, there'll be no male around her talking to her unless they were sitting in her makeup chair, because she was complaining that there were other people frequenting her set. Number 2, I told her there'll be no more smoking on set.
You mean smoking cigarettes or
Smoking weed.
Smoking weed.
And Yana, if I must add, she was smoking the good weed. It was a strong Antigua weed.
And she was?
Yes.
Was smoking.
The good Antigua ganja.
She was smoking marijuana.
Marijuana.
Is that right?
No, it's not.
Yeah, sure
It's
it
a
is.
complete lie.
Just a second. He's absolutely telling me the truth.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
No,
Go ahead.
he's not.
The third thing was I was going to try and adjust the source of her weed.
The source.
Yes.
So you were saying that if Robert's sexually harassing you, I want you to stop smoking weed, and I'm going to get rid of your supplier.
Yes.
Sounds like an interesting production, Mr. Howell.
No, Yana, there was more than just the sexual harassment. There was a lot going on, and I was trying to address the issues. The sexual harassment was just one part of the issue.
Okay. Did you ever complain to him about sexual harassment by anybody other than Robert?
Yes, I did.
Who?
There were a few people who were grips.
And what were they doing?
They set up light stands. They handled the lighting.
No, I don't mean what were they doing as grips.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm
what were they
sorry.
doing to you?
Well, I would go by them and they would touch me and they would tell me about how later that night they would like to do various things to me.
And what'd you say to them?
I said that that was very inappropriate and I would like them to not talk to me in that way anymore.
Yana, that's untrue.
The only one she complained to you about was Robert?
Was Robert.
I believe him. I believe him.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melissa Poncelet del Sol says director Dr. Noel Howell owes for her services as a makeup artist on his film. Dr. Howell is countersuing for money owed.
Now, I just want to know why you left on February 1st.
Because he no longer was giving me the means to do my job. He kept confiscating my makeup kit every night, so I wasn't able to clean and organize my brushes and my makeup kit. So I would arrive to set with dirty brushes. I finally said to him, this is unacceptable. As we've spoken about this many times, I need to be able to have my makeup kit in my possession at night so that I can organize it, clean my brushes, and arrive on set and do my job.
Was there
When
ever
I-
a time...
Sorry.
Was there ever a time that you did not show up on the set on time, ready to proceed?
No.
Yes, Your Honor, there were times. First of all, I've never, ever touched her makeup kit. Never confiscated anything to do with her makeup kit. And why would I want a dirty makeup on my set? I would never do such a thing, Your Honor.
I don't understand why he took your makeup kit.
I frankly don't understand either. However, I do know that when it was finally returned to me, $4,000 worth of makeup was removed from it, and I'm not sure if it's because he wanted to keep it to give to his new makeup artists to use on his film.
Who bought the makeup?
That was my makeup.
You purchased the makeup, and he stole your makeup?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have receipts here that I gave her my credit card over the phone. She used a credit card. She bought makeup with a credit card. Then she called me and she told me I owed her $700 for the makeup. I went and I gave her cash. However, later I found out that that $700 include $500 that was actually purchased on my credit card. So not only did I give her the $780 cash for everything, she also used a credit card. So she only spent maybe $200 of her own money. So Melissa is a con artist. She's very good at this thing. And I guess from the onset, that's what she was doing.
I actually have the receipt for that $765.30, and it was actually my father's Visa card, not his.
And Your Honor, I have the receipt that she submitted to me, and this is what she gave me. This is the receipt she gave me.
Just a minute.
And on this is what she told me she spent. And if my memory serves me correctly, it said MasterCard. And she gave me this.
This receipt that you gave me is for $532.60.
Right.
What she has here is $765 purchased on the 13th of January.
Yeah, Your Honor, I have the rest of the receipt. This is what she gave me. She gave me everything here together, $776. And that what she gave me was supposed to be, this was supposed to be cash. And that part of it was supposed to be the credit card.
Did you take back any makeup from her?
I did not.
Did you take any makeup from her kit?
I did not.
Did anybody as part of your production team?
Someone might have, but not to my knowledge. The only thing that I know, there was a bottle of blood that was left in the office that we end up using.
What I'm asking you is, Did you or anyone at your direction take makeup from her kit?
No.
Okay.
I have a list of the missing makeup inventory.
Just a second. Did you see him take any makeup from your kit?
I did see him remove several items of my makeup from my hotel room when he burst in through the door and threatened to hit me in the face.
Your Honor,
Just a second. Ms. Del Sol, what items do you tell me now that you saw him take out of your makeup kit?
4 gallons of blood.
Other than that?
I didn't see it with my own eyes.
Your Honor, 4 gallons of blood cannot hold in the makeup kit.
Hey, just a second.
I'm sorry.
You didn't see him take anything
all I know
else?
is that when I walked off set because I had dehydration and sunstroke because no one would let me sit in their car at the shelter or give me any water on set.
There we go again.
Be quiet.
My makeup kit was
quiet.
left on set and it was unlocked.
I have no idea who took it. Okay, let me hear you counterclaim, sir. 30 seconds or less.
Your Honor, because of her behavior, her inability to perform the job that she was expected to do, I had to bring in an assistant, I had to bring in another makeup artist. I also ended up paying a hospital bill because of her behavior. She was seen by a doctor there.
What were you seen by a doctor for?
He actually forced me to see a doctor while I was there.
Just
and it
a
was
second.
to die.
What?
Well, at the time I had no idea. After I was seen by the doctor, I was told that I was not homicidal or suicidal, which was rather shocking.
So you went to see a doctor in Antigua? In a
Yes,
hospital?
but it wasn't that I went to go see them. We were actually shooting a scene in a clinic that day, so he escorted me into the clinic, and I thought I was going in there to set up my makeup kit. And then suddenly I was alone in a room with the doctor.
Don't go on any more photo shoots to Antigua.
I won't.
Very good. Mr. Howell, when you have a large production staff, sir, I assume you've had difficulties before, of various kinds, not necessarily with makeup artists, but with people who aren't performing their job. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
And you had to replace them.
Yes.
Have you ever sued anybody for that, sir?
Not as yet.
You will be unsuccessful if you sue them. You want to know why?
Why?
Because the courts are busy enough. You got to choose your people better. Get better recommendations. Do whatever you have to do as the CEO of this organization to make sure that you hire people who can do the job. But you don't go around suing them afterwards if your production is slowed
not
down.
afterward.
Listen to me. We're too busy to clean up after CEOs who don't do their homework and hire appropriate people. And if there's something wrong with her because she has a mental disability, which I assume that you thought she had if you took her to a doctor, then you didn't do your homework carefully enough. But you don't get paid for that, sir. Your counterclaim is dismissed. Similarly, madam, you did not fulfill your contract. You went home. You have no proof that he stole your makeup. I'm not sure what happened there. He got paid a little. It wasn't a pleasant experience.
Yeah, it was the weed.
Listen to me and don't interrupt me. Did I give you plenty of opportunity to talk?
Yes, Your Honor.
I assume that the plaintiff was not the only one on your set who was smoking this wonderful weed that they had in Antigua. I assume that that would be correct, sir. Look over there at his face. Was he there?
Yeah, he was there.
You get my drift?
Yeah.
I don't smoke.
Good. Me neither. But I'm sure there were people there who did. Right?
Yeah, Melissa.
Only her? You think that I believe that?
No, a few.
A few.
But not, and that don't have anything to do with the set.
Right, very good. Okay. Goodbye, folks. I don't think you have a case, madam. You got paid some money. I know he doesn't. That's all.
Parties are excused. May step out.
Melissa was smoking weed,
Completely false and hilarious.
and the weed is too strong for her.
That I do not smoke marijuana.
And I know that her behavior and everything is the weed.
So that's just totally false.
Let me tell y'all, don't mess with the Antigua weed. It's wicked.
Don't deal with con artists.
Don't mess with the weed.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCullough versus Bongiorno, step forward, please.
Robert McCullough is suing a former bandmate of his daughter's friend, Joseph Bongiorno, for the return of his musical equipment.
Mr. McCullough, it is your claim that the defendant has a piece of music equipment that belongs to you.
Actually, 2 pieces, Your Honor,
An amp and something else.
and a controller for it, yes.
The defendant acknowledges that he has the equipment. He said it's his. You gave it to him.
Okay.
That's your defense, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where is it?
It is currently in my possession at my home.
How long do you know the plaintiff?
Mr. McCullough, I met back in November of 2008.
How did you meet him?
I met him through Matthew Clooney, the plaintiff's witness. I'd been in the band with them since probably November of 2007.
So you met him through your bandmate?
Yes.
Now, tell me the circumstances of how this perfect stranger to you, someone with whom you had no relationship with, no business dealings with, correct? Gave you what he says, valuable pieces of equipment worth in excess of $1,000.
I went to his house with Matt Clooney, and he said Matt had previously called me saying that Mr. McCullough had an application system for me to use, and I went to
use an AMP system for you to use.
It was given to me, yes.
No, he first said he had an AMP system for you to use. Those are the words that you just said. Is that right, sir?
No, ma'am.
No, of course it's right. You want me to play it back for you?
No,
what you said was, Matt called you and said that Mr. McCullough had AMP equipment for you to use. Then you quickly changed the word use for you to have. But the first word you used was use, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did you do?
I took the equipment from Mr. McCullough.
What was the agreement? What did he say to you, and what did you say to him?
Well, when it was given to me or handed over to me, there was no agreement saying that I had to return the equipment.
Tell me what he said to you.
What he said to me was, you can have this equipment and use it, tell me what you think about it, and that was what was said.
Did you use it?
Yes.
Did you tell him what you thought about it?
No, I did not.
Then you have to give it back. He gave it to you to use, and he said to you, I want you to use this and tell me what you think about it. There's your contract, if I believe you. You never told him what you thought about the equipment.
No, I did not.
You got to give it back. Now. The fact that you're angry because you're no longer in the band doesn't mean you don't return the equipment. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Within 5 days, sir, you get your equipment back.
Your Honor, just one quick thing I'd like to interject, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What would be the recourse if he, in fact, does not have the 2 pieces of equipment?
Do you have the 2 pieces of equipment?
Yes, ma'am.
He has them.
Okay.
And they're to be returned to him in good condition. Otherwise, he can bring you back here. Do you understand? You don't want to be back here because you've already embarrassed yourself. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused when they step out. 9 on the calendar in the matter of Howard versus Yancey. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats, please.
I have 2 cases in this mishmash that I'm going to try to sort out. According to you, Mr. Howard, you and the defendant dated for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have certain complaints against her that date back to December
Yes, ma'am.
of 1999.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So let's deal with them. First, you claim that your now ex-girlfriend,
Yes, ma'am.
sometime in early December, was angry with you about something and she keyed your car.
Certainly.
Certainly. Then, after she keyed your car, a couple of days later, you had a fight and she vandalized your house.
Right.
And then you complain that in April, you bought her a ring.
Yes, ma'am.
So first she vandalized your car. Then she vandalized your house. And then you bought her a ring.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I'm trying to just follow the scenario here.
Okay.
And you claim that this ring that you purchased for her was not an engagement ring, and there was an agreement with her that she would pay for half of the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what you want, half of the ring.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me the circumstances surrounding her keying your car.
It was about 7:45 in the evening. She called me and said, I'm getting off work. Can you come and get me? So I go out to pick her up. She got in the car, and I said we were probably traveling for probably about 10 or 15 minutes. And out of the middle of nowhere, we're sitting at the red light, and she smacks me. And I'm like, what was that about? And she was like, because I think it was one of her friends indicated to her that they saw somebody in the car with me earlier that day.
Of the female persuasion.
Yes, ma'am. So I said, Chris, what are you talking about? I've been at work all day. What are you talking about? So I proceeded, because I had to go back to my office to pick up one of my employees. So I went back to my office. I got out of my truck. I went into the building. When I came back, one of my employees said, she just keyed your truck.
No, I
And
can't hear
said,
that, sir.
Huh?
Unless you have the employee here, I can't hear what somebody else said.
Okay. And I asked her, I said, did you just key my truck? She said, yeah.
So you asked her.
Yeah, I asked her. And she said, yeah, I keyed your truck.
Why'd you do that?
I didn't, Your Honor.
Did you say you had?
No.
Did you key it a little bit? Now listen, that's not saying he didn't forgive you,
Okay.
because he might have forgiven you later, because he did buy the ring, right?
Right.
But you have to tell me the truth, because then if you tell a lie to me once, then I don't believe anything else that you say. Do you understand?
Okay. Yes.
Did you key his truck a little bit?
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
Did you have any discussion with him about keying your truck?
No, not that I did it, but we discussed it.
When?
I don't remember the dates or whatnot, but I was driving his truck one day, and I noticed that it was dented and scratched up. And I said, you know, your truck is keyed up. And he said that he had no knowledge of it.
Okay. So after she said, according to you, that yes, she keyed your truck, what did you do?
I was angry about my truck, and I asked her, I said, you know, why do you always tear up my car when you're mad at me? My car doesn't do anything to you. You know what I'm saying?
And did you see her the next day?
As a matter of fact, I did, because I indicated to her, I said, well, my insurance company says if I know who vandalized the truck, then I have to file charges against them, you know? And she was like, well, I can't believe you're going to file charges against me. I'm not going to file charges against you.
So you signed a statement to the insurance company that you didn't know?
I never signed a statement. I didn't even file the claim, Your Honor.
You have pictures of the scratch marks?
As a matter of fact, I don't, because when we went to get them developed, yesterday they exposed them.
So you have no pictures?
No, ma'am, I don't.
You have an estimate?
No, I didn't, because
Fine, then let's move on from the
Okay.
truck. Let's move on to the house.
Okay.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I had some friends that came over. In particular, one of my friends that came over there, she suspected that I was messing around with. And that wasn't necessarily the truth.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, no ma'am. Chris had really aggravated me that particular day. So I kind of wanted her to leave. But Chris is one of those people who just would not leave. All right. So I asked another young lady if she would take Chris out the house and go for a ride or whatever. And she said, yeah. So the young lady and Chris left and went for a ride. So I went upstairs to take a shower. Chris came back. She was ringing the doorbell. My instructions to the people who were at my house that particular night was, if Chris comes back, do not let her in. So when they refused to let her in, Chris broke the window.
Did you break the window?
I didn't mean to break the window, Your Honor.
So the answer is you broke the window?
Yes, I did break the window.
And how did you break the window?
Knocking on it. It was this thin window. I was knocking on the window. At first I was ringing the doorbell. As I was knocking on the window, my hand went straight through the window. No cuts or bruises.
Okay. And then what happened?
Chris was pulling off in her car as I was coming downstairs. So we started to clean up all the glass. About 15 minutes later, Chris came back, and she stabbed my back tire out my car.
Did you see her do that?
As a matter of fact, I did, because I couldn't get out the house in time enough before she was able to get back to her car. And I did get back to her car, but she had rolled her window up and took off.
Were you really mad?
I didn't do that, Your Honor.
Didn't slash his tire?
No.
If I might say something, Ashante was a witness to the fact that she did stab my tire.
Step up. Over there. You were there that evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tell me, where were you when you saw her slash the tire?
On the couch.
You were sitting on the couch?
Yes, because I heard somebody pull it back up. So I looked out the window because the window was already broken, so we was trying to fix it. She was getting out of her car, running up to the car, stabbing the tire, jumped back in her car and burrowed out. So, yes, Your Honor, she slashed the tire. I was there. I seen that.
Okay, so she slashed your tire.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have it fixed?
Oh, yes, ma'am, I did.
How much did it cost you?
It was approximately $148.47.
So you bought a new tire?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And you have a bill for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Okay, so you forgave her for breaking your window, you forgave her for slashing your tire.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Your Honor, I felt as if it was necessary to forgive her because, in many senses, it was inappropriate for me to have a guest at my house who
Right.
should not have been there.
They're not necessarily guessed.
Right. It was rather inappropriate for me to have her there.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Where's the ring?
I lost the ring.
Did you buy her a new one?
As a matter of fact, I did, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Corey Howard claims ex-girlfriend Christina Yancey keyed his truck and vandalized his home. Corey also says Christina owes him for the value of a ring.
So let me hear about it.
As far as he's saying about he had a female guest there, there was no one there but my best friend, Shantae, and Mr. Howard.
So what were you angry about? You did go for a ride with this young lady.
I didn't go for a ride anywhere. I stayed there, and then I left. I went to the store. I came back.
And when you came back, they wouldn't let you in.
They wouldn't let me in.
Why do you think they wouldn't let you in?
I have the slightest idea.
You have to have some idea, madam, otherwise they're acting in a psychotic fashion.
Well, there was another car. It was the car there. When I left, the car wasn't there. But when I came back, the car was there. It was another car there.
Another car there that you suspected was a woman's car?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Well, something must have been going through your mind, madam. You're banging at the door with sufficient force to break a window. They won't let you in the house. You must have been pretty annoyed. He was your boyfriend, right?
You're right.
Okay. Did you ever have a discussion with her about the tire?
As a matter of fact, I did. And
I assume that you did. Yeah. Let me about the discussion about the tire.
yeah. And she said, the reason why I cut your tire was because you wouldn't answer the door.
Sounds right.
You know, and
Sounds right. Sounds right. Okay. I have the tire here on your side, sir.
Yes.
Let's get to the ring.
Okay. The very day that she purchased the bracelet that she's wearing right now, she said to me...
You were shopping together?
Yeah, we were shopping together.
Okay, so you went into a jewelry store.
We went into a jewelry store.
That's always dangerous.
Which was owned by one of my friends, okay?
Yes.
And she says, I want to buy... I had given her like $300 that particular day. And she said she...
You gave her $300 in cash?
Yes, ma'am, while we were shopping, because we split up in the mall, so I gave her $300.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That was nice of you.
I was very nice to her, Your Honor. And what happened was, she came in the jewelry store, and she saw that very bracelet that she's wearing right now, and I says, I can't afford it, I'm buying me a ring. You know, I said, I gave you some money, so you buy it. So she went in her pocket and bought that bracelet. At the time, she says, oh, I want that ring right there. I can't afford that ring. I said, but if you split the cost with me, I will buy the ring. And she agreed to split the cost for the ring.
How much was the ring?
I think the ring was like a wholesale. I got the ring at a wholesale value, so I think it ended up being like $4 something. You know, but the retail value on it was like $1,000.
Okay, what the retail value is. How much did you pay for the ring?
I didn't pay anything, Your Honor. When we met up, he took me to the jewelry store. He had a diamond ring in his hand. He said, do you like this ring? I said, oh, yes, it's beautiful. He was like, do you want it? I was like, yes. He put it on my finger. He paid for the ring.
Well, he says he paid for the ring, but he says that that was sort of extra. He'd given you $300 and you saw something that you liked for over and above, and you said you'd split the cost with him.
This is what I saw that I liked it, the tennis bracelet, which was $99.
Right.
I paid for it out the money he bought me.
So you're wearing that, right?
The
wearing the tennis bracelet. Where's
right.
the ring?
I lost the ring. And
That's
I told him that.
That's not what she told me, Your Honor. She indicated that she had placed the ring in a jewelry box in her room, and she said that her mother's boyfriend had went into the room and stole the ring when she was not at home. And I said, how did your mom's boyfriend steal the ring when you're not at home?
Did you buy her a new one?
As a matter of fact, I did, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, I did buy her a new one.
What?
I thought you were psychic.
It says that here.
So I went back to my friend Tony and I said, Tony, you know that ring I bought? I said, do you have another one just like it? Well, of course, this ring was a very nice ring.
All right, so you got her another one.
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the other one that he got you?
It's at home, Your Honor.
Uh-huh. She didn't offer to pay for half of that one.
No, she didn't, Your Honor.
All right. All right, so far what I have on your side, sir, it's $148.47. Because if you were really interested in getting half the money back for this original ring that you bought, you wouldn't have bought her another one, right?
No, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, well, it's necessarily true. So on your side is $148.47 because she slashed your tire. Madam. Okay. Now that takes care of that case. Now, I want you to stand over there.
Okay.
You to sit down over there. And I would like Miss Catherine Yancey right over there. Party's been sworn?
They've already been sworn, Judge.
Good, thank you. Now, you're her mother.
Yes.
It is your complaint that Mr. Howard vandalized your house and later set it on fire. And that, according to you, happened on the 6th of June
Yes.
of 2000. So let me hear about it.
I came home from a meeting approximately 9:30 in the evening. My daughter told me that Corey Howard came to my house looking for her, said that he broke my front window. He went to the car and got a tire iron or hammer or something and broke the front window. So I was going to the police station to make a report, and he pulls up on the side street. So I pulled next to him to ask him, why does he keep coming to my house? Why does he keep coming around? He said that he wanted everything that he ever bought for that B. Specifically, he wanted this ring. So I asked her where the ring was. She told me she lost the ring. He said that she told him that my boyfriend stole the ring. And I told him that that was ridiculous. I didn't want to hear anymore because there's no way that my boyfriend would steal a ring.
She's a fibber, you know, your daughter. She's a fibber.
Okay, well, I know my boyfriend would not
No,
steal
I
a ring.
understand that.
So I took off to go to the police station. He followed me on my bumper, you know, trying to intimidate me. We continued to the police station to make the report. When I came home from the police station, my deck had been set on fire. Neighbor across the street said he
Don't
saw
tell me what your neighbor across the street said unless that person is here to testify. Step up next to your mother, please. Let me just hear about the broken window.
Well, me and Corey, he called and he was like, you know, do you want to hook up? And I was like, no. He's like, why? Asking me why, and my phone hung up on him. I was on the porch with my neighbor at the time. He pulled up. I ran in the house because I didn't know what he was going to do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She says, you didn't have to give me the money for the abortion because my real baby daddy gave me the money for the abortion.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Yancey claims her daughter's ex-boyfriend, Corey Howard, broke into her home and set fire to her deck.
And then what happened?
He's ringing the doorbell. B, come out of here. You better bring your butt out of here. Cussing, just making a lot of ruckus. I'm looking out the window from my room and I see Corey pop his trunk and get like a tire thing out. He proceeded to walk towards the house with this thing in his hand. At that point, I ran out the back door, over the fence and next door to my neighbor's house. When I was outside, I heard a slash noise. Finally, when he did pull off, I went back to my house next door. My mother's stained glass window was broken.
Did you do that?
No, ma'am, I did not break the window. As a matter of fact, on the particular day that she claims that I broke the window, I was in a staff meeting with all 4 of my sales managers on that particular day.
So you're telling me that not only didn't you break her window, but you didn't see her mother that day either. So her mother's lying too. You didn't even see her mother?
I did see her mom that day.
Driving away from her house?
No, I was not driving away from her house when I saw her mother.
Where were
Okay,
you?
as a matter of fact, maybe I should just tell how all of this originated. I was out on vacation, all right? Christina called me the whole time I was in New Orleans, okay? Christina says, I'm pregnant. I want you to give me $300 to have an abortion. I said, Christina, I'm not giving you anything, okay? First of all, because I'm not the only person you're sleeping with, okay? On this particular day, Christina called me, and she says, I just called you to tell you that you didn't have to give me the money for the abortion because my real baby daddy gave me the money for the abortion. I said, hey, ain't no problem, wasn't no sweat off my back. You understand what I'm saying? Even though I was angry, infuriated, okay, I was just really upset, you know. I passed by her house. I was on the phone with Christina. We got into an argument. I did not break the window. I did not set her house on fire or whatever.
To get a house on fire, there are no witnesses to you setting a house on fire. She says she saw you break the window.
I did not break a window.
Did you bang on her door?
As a matter of fact, I did not, Your Honor, because I never went to her house. I'm not
As a
going to lie.
matter of fact, okay. How much did it cost you to fix the window?
I haven't had the window fixed yet.
So you have no estimate?
Yeah, I have estimates of the fire damage.
I'm not interested in the fire damage. You have no witnesses with regard to the fire damage.
Okay, what I do have is police reports where my witnesses did give a report to the police.
That's insufficient in court. What's sufficient is that you have a witness.
And I also
present.
have phone numbers that they said you may be able to call. Both of the witnesses are there.
No. That's a far too serious issue to make a determination by picking up a phone.
Will you not take the police report with arson report?
Oh, absolutely not. Did they arrest him?
No, they won't arrest him.
Of course they won't arrest him. If you had a witness that the police found believable that witnessed him committing arson, they would have arrested him. Arson is a very, very serious felony. Do you understand? You have an estimate for the window.
It has the fire and the window. Repair front stained glass window.
Yeah,
yes.
that I'll see.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
The stained glass window was $75. Listen, I don't think that either one of you two young people would know the truth if it came up and bit you in the behind. I think that when you come to court and you testify in a court, the judge is supposed to be able to make a determination based on truthfulness. That's a hard thing when it comes to you two. However, I do find, madam, that you slashed his tire, and therefore he is getting the $148 that he spent to fix the tire that you slashed. And I do find, sir, that you broke a window. I can't make a determination that you committed arson, although that would be a really serious crime. But I do find that you did, in fact, break a window, and according to the estimate from our insurance, it's going to cost $75. So in your case, I'm awarding you $75, and on your case, sir, $148.47. Thank you. This case is over.
Parties are excused. You may step out. More parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Rivers, according to the complaint that I've read, you and Miss Moore had a relationship, and you have a young child who is either 9 or 10 months old. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
It is your claim that Miss Moore caused you to be arrested for violating a temporary restraining order. That case was later dismissed.
Yes.
And you want her to pay you for the bail that you had to put up when she had you arrested, because you say that you never violated or threatened her to cause you to be arrested.
That's correct.
That's your claim. And Ms. Moore says that you did, in fact, threaten her. She is counterclaiming for some car nonsense that dates back a year or so ago, and also for clothes and furniture of the babies that you kept when there was this argument back in November. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Oh. You were living together in November of the year 2000 when there was an altercation in your home. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And at that time, who left the house?
I did.
And the baby remained with you?
Yes.
And then you went to court
Yes, I did.
to have the baby returned to you?
Yes, I did.
The two of you are currently involved in a custody dispute over the baby. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yes, Your Honor. May I add that we did not go to court for her to obtain our daughter. What happened was she went and got a conflicting order that I had already had. I should say she got one just like I had one. And she came to the house, and the police interpreted it as a custody paper, when in fact it was a child protective order, which meant the authorities should have notified the Child Protective Service and removed the child from both of us.
Okay. Now, the judge issued a temporary restraining order at some point after this November incident. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Now, what I want you to do is to tell me when you were arrested for violating the temporary restraining order.
I was arrested, Your Honor, February the 23rd.
I'm asking you.
And my apologies. Oh, February the 9th. My apologies.
February the 9th.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Moore, I would like you to tell me first, when was the custody case started?
After the restraining orders were filed.
Give me the month.
It was December.
Who went to court to file for custody?
I did, Your Honor.
You did?
Yes.
And that was in December?
No. What happened in December, Your Honor, was we went to a hearing in regards to the 20-day restraining orders that we had previously received. I filed later on. In fact, I filed about a month and a half ago for full custody for my daughter.
Just a second. Was there at the time, prior to February 9th, an issue with regard to custody of the child?
Yes, Your Honor. DCYF was ordered to file the dependency charges against me and the mother, and ordered us to be evaluated by a doctor.
Okay, is that matter still pending?
Yes, it is. There's one more visit to the doctor for me and my daughter.
All right. Now, Ms. Moore, on the 8th of February, Mr. Rivers had a visitation day scheduled with his daughter. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Was that pursuant to a court order?
Yes, it was.
And what was his visitation schedule?
His visitation schedule was supposed to be every other week for an hour.
What day of the week?
They don't set a date, because every time they set a date for him to go, he says he can't go that day.
Well, just a minute, but he had a date to go, February 8th.
Yes, he did. They schedule it when he's available.
Fine. Do you work?
No, I don't.
Well, does he work?
No, he doesn't, not that I know of.
Do you work?
No, Your Honor. I'm facing 3 surgeries, and I'm under doctor's care at this time.
Just a second. So you don't work either?
No, I don't. I can't not work, Your Honor. I had a spinal injury.
How long a period of time had elapsed before February 8th that you did not see your daughter?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, Your Honor. It could have been a week.
Okay.
Or it could have been several weeks, because I was having a great deal of difficulty with the
Child Protective Service scheduling.
You had visitation scheduled February 8th. Was the
Yes.
visitation supposed to take place in the defendant's house?
No, the visitation was supposed to take place at the Child Protective Agency.
So she was supposed to bring the child to the Child Protective Agency?
No, they had, I guess, a schedule.
How was the child supposed to get to Child Protective for visitation?
There's a worker from DCYF. She comes and she comes to pick up my daughter, and she takes my daughter to DCYF to see him.
And you left the house on the 8th?
Yeah, she called like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time to tell me about that. And I just I didn't write it down when she told me, and I forgot, and my daughter had I had an appointment to see my daughter's pediatrician about her WIC papers for her milk. So that's why.
Baloney. Baloney. You have 2-3 weeks and you have nothing else to do because you don't work, and if he's supposed to have his hour of visitation, that's an important enough thing to put down, as important as going to get WIC.
I have court dates and doctor's appointments I have to go to. For
February 8th. So you weren't there. The worker came, didn't find you there, and according to your statement, what happened?
The next day,
yes,
she came out. She had called me like maybe 10:30 in the morning. She asked could she come see the baby. I said yes, she could. She came in. She seen the baby. We talked for a while. She was telling me what he says, that he wants his visits through a court order or whatever. She wanted to reschedule another visit. After she left, I received a phone call from John. He said, "I got you. I'm coming for you," and he hung up. And I immediately called the police after that, right after I hung up from him.
Did he come to your house?
No, he did not. I don't think so. He just called.
What do you mean you don't think so?
Well, I heard a voice outside the window that sounded like his, but I didn't look out the window. I was on the phone with the police at the time.
Why did you call her the next day?
I never called her, Your Honor. The only people I called was the worker to inform the worker that I needed the worker to look into my daughter. I did not know where my daughter was. I didn't know if my daughter was okay. I want the workers to go out and check on her.
So you're saying that you didn't call her?
Absolutely not, Your Honor.
Well, your phone records would clearly show that. Did anybody look at your phone records?
I would imagine so, the police or my lawyer.
Mr. Rivers, it would be very easy for you to establish that you did not, in fact, place that phone call to her.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that would be by bringing in your phone records, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have them?
Well, we don't.
The answer is
I don't
yes
have
or
any
no?
phone records because, Your Honor, where I place my calls are at Crystal's house. And she has an arrangement, I believe, with the phone company where they don't put down that information where you place your calls. Just toll calls, I would imagine.
But Mr. Rivers,
my lawyer,
Mr. Rivers, it sounds to me as if that's something that you might do, pick up the phone and get angry with her because she didn't have the child.
Your Honor, I will constantly talk to the workers. If I had a problem with April, it was being dealt with the courts. I had no reason to contact April.
It's very hard for me to make a decision with regard to that, sir, without some proof, and proof can be easily obtained with the phone company. You can, in fact, subpoena the records of the phone company, and they will tell you from your phone, from her phone, from anybody else's phone, whether a phone call was made to her house on the 8th of February.
Well,
stop.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Rivers says the mother of his child, April Moore, had him falsely arrested for violating a restraining order. April says John threatened her.
Now, why was the case dismissed?
She decided to drop the charges, Your Honor, but...
Why is that?
I go in and out of court. I mean, every month for the quarter. I go in and out of court every other month. I mean, we go every month for the custody of my daughter. I go through so much stuff with him, and I just didn't feel, the lawyer that I had at the time, because I didn't have a lawyer, I had to go and stand in the line, and I talked to a prosecutor. He advised me that it was best for me to drop the charges because I couldn't prove that he called me.
Right.
So, since I couldn't
Right,
prove it, I dropped it.
And you really weren't afraid, right?
I was afraid at the time.
Why didn't, I get frustrated when people forget about visitation. I get really frustrated about that.
He cancels his visitations all the time, and it's okay with the courts. But when I really did.
It's not even bothersome to you. Somebody picks up your daughter and takes your daughter someplace else. You don't even have to look at them. You just have to make her available.
I do. She's available. She's available most of the time. That's one visit that he was there for, and that I couldn't.
How many visits did you, in fact, bring your daughter for?
At least 5 or so.
How many?
Your Honor, I've seen my daughter in the past 6 months 8 times. And according to the courts, if I would have been allowed to see my daughter for the entire 6 months that she was awarded a restraining order for, it would have amounted to 22 hours. And the 6 months expired on the 5th of this month. And I must add, Your Honor, after I was arrested for violating the restraining order, Mrs. Moore came up to my residential area.
What do you mean she came up to your area?
She came up to it's an area called Manton Heights.
What was she doing there? Did she come to your house?
I have no idea what her intentions were to be there, but if she was so fearful of me...
You didn't speak to her?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I was told that he was not living at... No, you did not see me. I was told that he was not living in Manton Heights anymore. I've been told that many a time, so if I was in the neighborhood, it had nothing to do with him.
I want to get to the counterclaim. Let me hear this nonsense. 1999, you bought a car.
Yes.
And you say it's your car. You say he drove the car and he took it in for repairs a year and a half ago, right?
Yes.
Pay attention. And the car's still there because you can't get the car out because the repairs are so much. Is that right?
That's right.
And you want him to pay for the repairs?
He said he was going to pay for the repairs.
You want him to pay for the repairs?
Yes, I do.
Is that when you were living together?
Yes, it was.
Next, let's go to the clothes and furniture.
Well, the clothes, I have some of the receipts.
Who bought the clothes?
My mother did. My mother bought the bassinet that he took from my daughter, some of the personal belongings that he did not give back to my daughter. She bought most of this. She spent like at least $185 and stuff. Plus there's stuff from the baby shower that I received that he did not return to me. And he took them in. When the same worker that comes to get my daughter to take to John for the visitations told me that he said that he's not going to give my daughter's items back because his the daughter that he has with Crystal, they share things. They share items and he's not giving them back when my mother bought them.
Has the custody matter been resolved yet?
No, it has not.
Well, until the custody matter is resolved, then whoever is going to have the baby on a full-time basis should have that property. But right now the baby has grown out of a bassinet. I'm sure a 10 months old baby doesn't sleep in a bassinet.
Yeah, but at the time, that's when he had took it. He took clothes. The only thing they brought her back to me, they didn't bring her back to me with a bottle. They didn't bring her back to me with any milk. She didn't have a bib, anything.
Who was supporting your family when you were living together?
The state of Rhode Island, Your Honor.
How?
Through a program called FIP, Family Independent Program. It's like welfare, Your Honor. But, Your Honor...
Just a second. So, property that was purchased for the baby, for the most part, was purchased with state money. Is that right?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Just answer my question. Is that right?
No, it's not. My sister gave my mother money, and she gave the money to my mother. I was so upset when I was pregnant because he promised me that he was going to buy the crib, he was going to buy everything for my daughter, and he bought only a couple of items of clothing, and that was it. She didn't have a crib or anything before I was 9 months pregnant. My mother decided to
Let me ask you this question, Miss Moore.
Yes.
What did you expect him to use for money to buy the baby a crib?
He kept promising me that either he could borrow the money from his brother or he had SSI pending. He was supposed to be approved for SSI.
But he didn't get his SSI, so what did you expect him to buy the crib with?
He said that he would get the crib. He was going to get her if he...
He didn't get it. And right now you have a whole bunch of clothes that even if he has it in his house, it doesn't fit the baby. You have clothes at the house that belong?
Your Honor, the clothes that I have...
Just answer my question.
Your Honor.
The answer is yes.
Yes, Your Honor, that I paid for.
That you paid for?
Yes, and I have the receipts right here, Your Honor.
Okay.
She said I brought a couple of items, but this totals out to a great deal more, Your Honor.
Where did you get the money from?
I borrowed the money, Your Honor.
From whom?
My brother.
Okay. Well, that's possible. You borrowed some money, she borrowed some money because the two of you together didn't have enough money to make a baby. So, what do you want me to do?
When she was able to wear those clothes, there was months for where she was able to wear those clothes.
She's not able to wear them anymore. Some he bought, some with borrowed money, some you bought with borrowed money. That's not why you're here. You certainly wouldn't have brought this countersuit if he hadn't sued you for his bail money back, right?
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know that
I'm asking you a question.
Sue him for that.
I'm asking you a question. You didn't. You got a car in storage now for a year and a half. You didn't even know if it's still there.
It's still there when I went back to get the estimate for the car.
Yeah?
It's still there. He put it underneath his name, and he didn't put it underneath my name. They think that he was the owner of the car when he put the car.
Couldn't be in your name because you didn't have a driver's license, according to you. Is that right?
I had got the car registered, but I didn't have a...
You didn't have a driver's license, so you couldn't drive the car.
He didn't have one either.
Terrific. Then you shouldn't have owned a car.
He persuaded me to buy the car. He said that I need it for school, and he also had it a favor for his friend.
Listen to me. I have absolutely no intention of ordering him to pay for the repairs on a car that's been sitting for a year and a half. That's your car. None. And as far as the clothes are concerned, I don't know what pajamas or other things that are hanging around, but none of these things that were of an appropriate size in November are an appropriate size now. He says some of the stuff he bought and some of the stuff you bought. What about the bassinet?
Your Honor.
Just answer my question. Who bought the bassinet?
I have no clue who bought the bassinet.
Where is
Your
it?
Honor. She has the bassinet, Your
No,
Honor.
I do not.
The DCYF worker, she came over to the house after she was awarded my child, or our child, my apologies. And I gave the DCYF worker everything from pajamas, bottles.
Just a second.
No, he did not.
Are you telling me that you do not have the bassinet?
Not at all, Your Honor.
Since when?
Since
I mean, because that could be the only thing that you could use again.
Since
Maybe.
I had 2 bassinets at the house, one for both daughters. However,
no,
she has the bassinet, Your Honor.
I do
What
not
she
have
did
the
with it, I have
bassinet.
no idea.
I don't have any idea either. Listen, you two people can fight up a storm. You have a matter pending for custody. When is your next trial date?
It's been passed. I have to file a motion. I've been representing myself because I can't afford an attorney. Your Honor, if I may say,
You may say nothing. I don't want to hear anything else.
Okay.
What do you mean it's been passed? What does that mean?
It's been passed on the calendar because what happens is that we need the evaluation.
Gotcha. You have an initial evaluation from that case? I'm just curious.
No, we're waiting for Dr. to see me. Nothing's been provided to me.
Are you currently under supervision of Child Protective Services?
Yes, I am.
You have a caseworker?
Yes, I do. The same worker that takes my daughter back and forth.
And the worker comes to your house and visits?
Yes, she does.
Is this your only child?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Who do you live with?
My father.
Anybody else?
No, just my father.
Who do you live with?
I live with my roommate, Your Honor.
Who's your roommate? Why was there a sigh there, a hesitation, sir?
Why? Because I wasn't certain if I could use his name.
Mr. Rivers, I believe that you called her very angry when you didn't get your visitation on February 8th. She may have overreacted when she called the police and said that you violated the order of protection by threatening her, but I believe that you actually called her, so you're not going to get your bail money back. I also believe that on your counterclaim, Ms. Moore, that this car business is old history. He's not paying for the repairs on your car. Forget it. What you want from him for the car is 3 times as much as you paid for the car to begin with. That you both paid
That's
for the car. 'cause you-
repairs.
I don't care what it is. It's 3 times as much as you paid for the car. You want almost $5,000 to repair a car that you paid $1,000 for. So don't be ridiculous. And as far as the clothes are concerned, they don't fit. Some he bought, some you bought. You both bought them with either borrowed money.
Birchler versus Baker.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Birchler, it is your claim that the defendant who used to be your boyfriend owes you money for a loan for bail and then a loan for some car repairs. Mr. Baker says there was never any agreement to pay you back, so there was no contract. Is that right, sir?
Yes, it is.
When were you arrested?
February 12th, 2009.
And what were you arrested for?
Driving unsuspended. And I got picked up because she was on her way to work. And
Just a second. You were arrested for driving with a suspended
But I had a warrant.
You had a warrant?
Yeah.
For what?
For driving unsuspended. And we were on our way to...
We're going to do this my way, sir. I know that it might confuse you, but I like to do things in a linear fashion. You were arrested on February 12th, 2009 or 2010?
Probably 10.
And the warrant that you were arrested on was because you had been driving without a license.
That's correct.
And you were supposed to appear in court?
Yeah, and I missed my date.
Why did you miss your date?
I didn't know which day it was, and I didn't make it to it.
You don't know what year it is?
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to me you didn't know what day it was. How long were you in jail when they arrested you on February 12th?
4.5 days.
For not having a driver's license?
Well, I had other warrants, too.
Right. Mr. Baker, we got enough aggravation in this country. We don't feed people 3 squares a day because they were driving on a suspended license. What were your other warrants for, sir?
I had 2 driving unsuspended, no insurance, and seatbelt, and then tail light, and that's it.
From how many different traffic stops?
3.
And you forgot all 3 dates, Mr. Baker, that you were supposed to be in court?
Yeah.
You must be a very, very busy man, running a very busy company.
Work a lot.
Doing what?
Well, now I'm going to do construction, but back then I was standing on the side of the road waving to people, liberty tax. and dancing.
You were standing on the side of the road waving at people for what?
For Liberty Tax, it's an income tax place. You get your taxes done there. That was just a part-time job.
And what were you doing the rest of your time?
I was doing construction now, but back then, that's all I was doing.
Who were you living with?
My parents.
So you weren't doing much of anything. So there was no reason why you didn't go to court for these tickets.
I just missed my dates. Stupid mistake.
And Miss Birch put up $500 towards your bail, right?
She felt sorry for me.
Well,
because it was her fault I went to jail.
it was. Why don't you try to explain to me the best way you can why it's her fault that you went to jail?
I would never went to jail if we would have never gotten that little argument, and she smacked me in my face. And then when she smacked me, I threw my hands up, and Mountain Dew went all over, and we were yelling at each other, and then I got out the car and tried to calm the situation down.
And tried to what?
Calm the situation down, make it better.
So you got out of the car after this argument.
Yeah.
And?
I started jogging to work because we were like a mile away from my work. She was supposed to drop me off.
So you were running away from the car?
Yeah, well, I was going to my job.
So you were running away from the car, and what happened?
Security guard saw the whole scene and picked me up.
Police picked you up?
Yeah.
So that's why it was her fault you got arrested and the warrants dropped on you?
I would have never got arrested. We would never got in that fight. She would just drop me off my work. The whole situation would be prevented.
So it's her fault?
Pretty much, yeah.
Whose fault is it that you skipped your court dates?
That's my fault, but...
Whose fault is it that you got the tickets?
My fault, but...
Whose fault is it that you didn't have a seatbelt on?
Mine.
Whose fault is it that you were driving twice with a suspended license?
That'd be mine, too.
Well, why does somebody else have to pay for what you did wrong?
Because I wouldn't have got picked up.
Where do you live?
Independence.
Independence,
Missouri.
Missouri? You think that the police in Independence are that stupid that they'd never pick you up on a warrant?
They'd have to find me first.
What's the motto of Missouri?
Live free or die? Show me.
Show me.
Show me state.
Show me state.
The show me state. I knew it was something that I would like. Okay, she put up the bail for you?
Yeah.
And how did she know where you were?
When I was in jail, I called my dad, and she was over at my house. He texted her to tell her that I wanted to talk to her, and she came over to my house.
She came over to your house, and when you called, what did you say to her?
I said hi, and she said hello, and then I asked her. Then I asked her if she would help me out, and she was
Would
like,
help
blah,
you
blah.
out how?
Well, I was stuck in jail and I needed $1,400, and she just got her income tax. So she was like, well, we got talking. She said she was sorry for smacking me, which that's how I figured I got in there. And that's the whole time I was thinking that.
Mr. Baker, you got put in jail because you were irresponsible and you had been breaking the law and you had been thumbing your nose at the court system by not showing up for your court dates. That's why you were in jail.
That's not true.
Oh, Mr. Baker, there's one thing to be stupid and there's another thing to appear to be stupid. Don't combine the two. You were in jail because you broke the law and then you thumbed your nose at the court system by saying, I'm not going to court. And you didn't do that once, you did that 3 times. That's why you were in jail. You weren't in jail because she slapped you. You were in jail because you broke the law. Now do you understand?
No.
There's your combination.
That's a pretty powerful combo.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do I look like a smart lady to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? I look like a smart lady for you? Do you trust me?
Yes.
And later today,
If you're trying to be charming with me, trust me, it's not going to work. Better looking and richer people than you have tried to charm me without success.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Birchler says ex-boyfriend Ryan Baker owes for bail money and attorney fees after he was arrested on an outstanding warrant.
Okay. What do you do, Miss Birchler?
I work at a call center.
You work full-time?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long have you been working full-time?
Since February 15th.
And how old are you?
20.
Did you work prior to that?
Yes, I worked at Macy's.
Worked there for a while?
A couple months. It was a part-time contingent job.
You live at home?
I have my own house. Well, complex.
It's a duplex, but...
Yes, it's a duplex. I'm sorry.
You pay rent?
Yes.
You drive a car?
Yes.
You pay insurance?
It's already paid. Yes, ma'am.
You buy your own clothes?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't need him.
I understand that.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You're too young to be desperate. Do you know what I mean? A pretty young 20-year-old who works hard and supports herself.
And my son.
Not desperate. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay. Other than the $500 for bail, what does he owe you for, Miss Birchler?
About a week after I got my tax returns, he asked me if I would help him fix his car, and he said he needed to pay lawyers. I thought that's what I was understanding the money was for. So I told him he could borrow $300 as long as he promised to pay it back.
That's a lie. She didn't let me borrow it.
I don't want to hear you unless I'm looking at you and asking you a question.
This was on March 1st, and I said, as long as you pay me back $700 by...
Where was he supposed to get $700 from?
He was working, and he told me he'd give me his whole entire checks, that he wouldn't keep any of the money. So I was under the impression he might actually pay me back. So I gave him the $300 to help fix his car.
How much did he pay you back?
All in all, he paid about $100 back.
What do you mean about $100? What does that
mean? He would help me around my house.
I didn't pay her nothing.
Okay. Didn't pay her anything?
No. And I didn't have a job when she gave me that $300. I was in jail and I lost my job.
So what did you need $300 more for from
to get
Ms.
my fuel
Birchler?
pump and a key ignition made? Because my ex-girlfriend, because I got a new girl after I got out of jail, and she was texting her about getting my car fixed. She lost my key.
I don't care. There must be lots of desperation there in Missouri. Stay away from him.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Stay away from him. Don't make any children with him. Don't get involved with him. Do I look like a smart lady to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? I look like a smart lady from you? Do you trust me?
Yes.
You escaped. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I'm quite pleased.
I didn't like it at all.
He had his new girlfriend text me and let me know that he would not be paying back the money and that I needed to get over myself.
She was texting her, and then after I got the car fixed, she called my phone, and then my girlfriend picked it up and was talking to her.
She called me after that and told me I was a few choice words and that he would not be paying me back.
She didn't ask for any of the money until after I got a new girl.
Not date guys like him.
Don't talk to crazy girls like that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Van Buskirk versus Shook. Step forward.
Wendy Van Buskirk is suing her former friend, 23-year-old Jonathan Shook, for unpaid rent, bail money, and a loan to buy an engagement ring.
Miss Van Buskirk, the defendant, according to you, was a young man that you took into your house. He was a friend of your son's. He had no place to go. You opened up your home. You took him in, and according to you, he owes you some money.
Yes, ma'am.
Claim he owes you some money for rent. This is not a major deal. But that you loaned him some money to buy an engagement ring.
Yes, ma'am.
And you want that money back.
Yes.
In addition, you bailed him out of jail in the amount of $200. What were you arrested for?
Having kitchen knives, basically. Deadly concealed weapon.
A concealed weapon.
A couple of them, yes.
Where do you live?
Waldorf, Maryland right now.
Where had you been living with the plaintiff?
It's Brandywine, Maryland.
In Maryland?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you move in with her?
I'd say right before the winter of 2008, I believe. I'm not exactly sure.
And where is her son now? You were a friend of her son's.
Right now, in jail in not Ocean City, but Atlantic City.
How long has he been in jail?
About a month.
What is your son in jail for?
Assaulting a police officer.
Couple other things.
I'm not exactly sure, but it's...
Well, he didn't start out just walking up to a police officer and assaulting him. It had to be...
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
And I assume he's incarcerated pre-trial.
Yes.
Does he have bail?
Yes.
How much is his bail?
$1,000.
Did he ask you to bail him out?
Yes, he did.
And why didn't you?
Well, it started off at $7,800. It's been reduced to $1,000, and unfortunately, I didn't have the money at first, and I plan on getting him out this Friday.
What was your rental arrangement with the plaintiff?
Well, when I moved in at first, nothing. I didn't have a job. I had nothing, but
How old are you?
I'm 23 right now.
How do you make a living? How do you support yourself?
I detail cars right now, and I actually just got a job doing telecommunications.
And what kind of work was her son doing?
At the time, when I moved in, nothing at all.
What did you borrow money from her for?
I didn't.
Did you buy your girlfriend a ring?
Yes, I did.
Where'd you get the money from?
I paid part of it, and she said she was going to give me the rest as a gift to help me out.
How much did she pay?
I'm not exactly sure the exact numbers, but I paid for about half.
The ring was $629.99, and the warranty for the ring was $74.99.
What kind of warranty do you get on a ring?
The warranty is for, you have to take in every 6 months for cleaning, replacing the diamond if it gets lost.
That's some... I won't say that. I'll hear from all the jewelers if I say that that warranty is a ripoff.
Oh, it is.
So I don't want to hear from any jewelers out there. Don't write to me. Don't say bad things. I don't understand a $75 warranty on a ring. Did he put anything towards the ring?
3 payments of $45, Your Honor.
That's not true. I gave her like $300 up front.
No, he did
And then
not.
I made the payments of $45, and then she said
No,
the
he
rest
did
was
not.
a gift.
If you don't have money, you don't buy a ring.
Well, I understand that.
Well, you shouldn't have bought it.
I had the money that she wanted.
You didn't have the money.
And then she said the rest was a gift.
You didn't have the money.
Not on me.
If you have $300 and you want to buy a ring, find a ring for $300.
That's why
If you had $400...
Find a ring for $400.
I don't think you're cute, as a matter of fact.
I understand.
Just want you to understand that. If you're trying to be charming with me, but trust me, it's not going to work.
No.
Better looking and richer people than you have tried to charm me.
I believe it. I believe it.
Without success.
I believe it.
That didn't require a response.
Okay.
Try taking the hair out of your eyes. You'll see the world better.
All right.
Ma'am.
Don't speak.
Sorry.
Now, when you were arrested, you had a phone call to make.
Yeah.
Who'd you call?
Called a couple people just to let them know I was locked up, and then next thing I know, I was out of jail.
You never called the plaintiff?
Never talked to her.
How did you find out he was in jail?
Through my daughter-in-law, Nicole.
Through your daughter-in-law?
Yes.
This child is married to your son who's incarcerated?
No.
To another son?
Yes.
Okay. How did you find out he was in jail?
I was with him when he got arrested.
What were you all doing?
We were walking down the side of the road trying to keep him from going inside the road.
Explain that to me. Look at me when you explain it to me.
He was just upset, and...
He was upset about what?
I don't exactly remember about what. Something that was stressing him out, and he was just walking in and out of one of the main roads, so we were just walking next to him, making sure he didn't get hurt. Me, Johnny, and a friend of his that was with us.
So he was trying to walk in traffic?
He was just walking in the road. We were walking on the side of the road. He just happened to walk in the road. We were just walking with him down the side of the road.
And
the cops ended up coming up saying that he was impeding traffic, and he had a whole bunch of knives on him.
Was he high on drugs?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Well, probably was high on drugs or something if he was impeding traffic. And then they searched him and found these concealed weapons?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, terrific. Now, what did he say when he called you? I assume he called you from jail?
Well, he called Wendy from jail.
Called her?
Yes.
Good. Sit down. She says he called you from jail.
He begged me to get him out of jail. I have a receipt for bail and the bail.
How long were you in jail, Mr. Shoup?
Like 8-9 hours. Not even that long. They, where I'm PG County out in Maryland, they let you out the next morning, or I'd have been let out that night when they paid my bill, but I never...
You used drugs, Mr. Shoup?
Used to.
What was your drug of choice, sir?
Marijuana.
What else?
That's it.
Were you high on the day you were arrested?
Nah, I've been clean for like 4 years now, actually.
Then what were you doing obstructing traffic?
Trying to get my dog out the road at first, and then I dropped knives in the road. They were in a box, and I dropped the box to go chase after the dog in the road. There you go. Once I got the dog back, I went to go get the knives out the road. And that's when the state trooper pulled up, and I was walking down the road, and he didn't lock me up that day. He locked me up the next day. It was a confusing situation, and then they dropped the charges after it all was done and over with, so it just didn't make no sense.
I'm staying in Greenwich. Did you call her and ask her to bail you out of jail?
No, ma'am. I don't even know the house number to call her.
You used to live there. How long did you live there?
About 1.5 years, but I never used the house phone. I have a cell phone.
You have 10 seconds to tell me about rent, because I'm not actually interested. Go!
He paid $100 a month prior to moving out. He didn't pay for 3 months.
When did you move out of the house?
I'd say around October of last year. I just couldn't stay there no more. And she had said something about, getting the couches and everything out of there, which I didn't understand. It was not my problem. It's her son's bedroom, and we both brought the couches in, and why do I have to take the couches out of the room? If they were his couches, he's the one that got bought.
Just give her the money for the ring and your bail. $495 for the ring and $200 for your bail. Perfect.
And Okay, Your Honor, this is case number 30 in the matter of Ravgiala versus Roberts.
Thank you.
Get a little tongue-tied now and then. The parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
What's your first name?
Jennifer.
How old are you, Jennifer?
I'm 18. I just turned 18 3 days ago.
Order.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
How old are you, Mr. Roberts?
23.
What's your first name?
Raymond.
Jennifer, Raymond was your boyfriend.
Yep.
You claim he owes you some money. Not a whole lot of money. $300-some-odd.
Yep.
You said he owes you the money for the following 2 items. You gave him $100 in which to put down as a deposit for the limousine for your senior prom.
That's right.
And you had an argument, and he kept the money, and he didn't take you to the prom. And you acknowledge that you kept the $100.
I guess I did.
And then you say that over the course of your relationship, you sold candy for school, and he took your candy money. And about that, Mr. Roberts says, she took me out for dinner, and we went places together.
That's not true.
I'm just telling you what he says. That's his answer. Then you say that he came to your house when you weren't home with a police officer and took a Christmas gift that he had bought you.
That's right.
Which was?
Supposedly it was a stereo. I did buy a stereo, but it was not a gift.
A stereo that was in her house.
A stereo that was at her house.
And you took that and you want the value of that back, or the stereo back.
Yep.
You say it was a Christmas gift.
Yep, it was.
Now, Raymond says that you owed him money for a Sprint bill.
That's not true.
Just telling you what he says. And that he merely was collecting on that. That's what the $100 was for?
Yeah,
as well as the stereo.
The stereo. The stereo was mine. I was taking it back.
And Raymond is counterclaiming, he said, because you and your mother sort of overreacted to a little argument you were having and had him arrested for kidnapping you.
He was never arrested.
Shh. And he was forced to defend these charges temporarily, right?
Right.
How old was she when you started to date her, Raymond?
17.
And how old were you?
At the time I was 22.
Not terrible, not terrific. What did she owe you money for?
She owes me money for the Sprint bill for the 2 months.
Now, how is it that you're paying her Sprint bill?
I have 2 phones, and I let her use one of my other phones. And we agreed that...
Just a minute. You got a phone for yourself.
Yes, I've got
And
a
you
phone.
gave her a phone.
Yes, under my name.
And when did you do that? How long ago?
I think it might have been sometime in October. I might have gave her the phone, September, October.
She was 17.
Correct.
And you had an agreement with her.
Yes.
And what was your agreement?
That would split the bill in half. I'd pay my half, she'd pay her half.
That's not right.
So what you're telling me is you had a verbal contract with her.
Correct.
You can't.
Can't.
Right. She's not old enough. She's not old enough to make that contract. She has to be 18 in order to make a contract that's valid and binding. So, Raymond, that's one of the downsides of dating a younger woman.
I'm learning that now.
So she owes you diddly.
Okay.
So let's start with, you owe her $100 for the limousine.
Okay.
So $100, Jennifer, is on your side.
Yep.
Now, I don't want to hear about the candy money. I want you to forget the candy money. If you were dumb enough to give him candy money or to spend candy money, I don't want to hear about it. Yes, you want to say something? It sounded like you were winning the candy money.
No, she still has belongings of mine at her house.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
We are now on the stereo
All right.
that she says was a Christmas present, and you said was just yours.
It's fine.
When did you get the stereo?
Christmas Eve was put in my house, and my mom was actually there. And he actually said to her, you know, this is a Christmas gift. I bought it for her.
And it was in your house starting Christmas time?
Yep.
When did you take it out of the house?
I think it was like March.
So, December to January, January to February, February to March. It was in her house for 3 months.
Correct.
Who do you live with?
My grandparents.
Do you have your own room?
Yes.
You have a stereo?
No.
So if you bought the stereo in December, I assume that that's what the receipt says, that it was purchased in December?
Correct.
What date in December?
The 17th, which she was with me.
It was purchased in December and you don't have a stereo in your room. Why didn't you take it to your house?
I was letting her use it.
Baloney. Let me see the bill. You have the perks of a younger woman. You have to have the plagues of a younger woman. Plague is she's not old enough to make a contract. Okay, so this whole thing cost $189?
Correct.
Where's the stereo now?
At my house.
In your?
In my room.
In your room?
In my room.
where it would have been from the very beginning if it was bought for you. Now, a couple of other questions just for my own information, sir. What did Jennifer get you for Christmas?
Electric shaver and a couple of shirts.
A couple of shirts?
Yes.
What did you get for Jennifer for Christmas? See what I mean? Got where I'm going?
Yeah.
Raymond? Got where I'm going?
Yes, I do.
Good. So we have $289 on your side, because now Raymond gets it. Right, Raymond?
Yes.
Didn't think fast enough.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get to your counterclaim.
Okay.
You had an argument in the car.
Correct.
What date?
March 5th to be exact.
And the argument was about your being cheap?
If you want to put it that way.
What?
If you want to put it that way.
Well, that's what it was about. You're being cheap. You're mooching off her. I mean, I read the complaint.
No, I wasn't mooching off her. I was just asking her for, simple money for the bill. That's all.
That's what she was complaining. Don't play with paper around me. So you're having the argument in the car.
Correct.
What happened?
We got in a major argument about money, about the Sprint bill and everything. And she said, oh, I'm not going to pay for the bill. I don't have to pay for the bill. I was like, well, you used the phone. I think you should be responsible for the charge if you're going to use the phone. And she said no. And I says, fine. You want to be that way towards me? I will take the limo money, and I'll use that limo money to cover your part of the bill since you want to pay me the money. And we'll take it from there. It'll be fine. Well, from that point on, she decided to call her mother and say I was threatening her, made a huge big deal out of everything. She said, bring me home, bring me home, bring me home. I said, fine, I'll bring you home. When she told me she wasn't going to pay the bill, when she was on the phone with her mother, I actually called Sprint, and I had the phone shut off right then and there. And I guess that's when her mother panicked and decided to call the state police and the cops, and I had the cops.
That was really stupid of you, Raymond.
Yeah.
Girl is talking to her mother, right? So her mother knows she's safe, she's well. You pick up your cell phone and you call Sprint and you say, cut off the other number?
If that was my phone.
I was...
Listen, don't speak. I'm not talking to you.
All right.
I was not expecting them to shut off right then and there, because I didn't think they could shut off.
What
the
did you
phone
say
with
to
phone
them
service.
to have them shut it off right then and there?
I asked them if they could
curious.
shut off the service. And basically you can't have incoming or outgoing calls.
And they said okay?
They said fine, but I didn't think they could do it during a phone call. My mistake.
Well, you found out that they could.
Yeah, I did, the hard way.
Tell me what happened. Were you arrested? Were you charged with anything?
No, I was not arrested.
Well, then what happened? So
Just
what
an embarrassment of a false restraining order because...
Okay, so they took out a restraining order against you?
Got a restraining order on me a couple days later.
You have a copy of the allegations that you made in the restraining order? Raymond,
Yes,
you ever been arrested before?
a long time ago.
How long ago?
Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe.
Nothing since.
Nothing.
You work? You have
Yes, I
a
work.
nice job?
Decent job.
What do you do?
Actually, I'm training to be a manager at McDonald's right now.
So you're working at McDonald's?
Correct.
Okay. You don't look like a bad guy, Raymond. You don't look like you have a bad temper. Does he have a bad temper?
Oh, yes.
Never touched you, did he?
No.
You have a bad temper?
No.
Huh?
No.
She have a bad temper?
She has her moments. she has her moments that she
When
can
I'm
flip out.
with you.
Oh.
Well, either you have
Oh,
a
hey.
temper or you don't have a temper. You understand? Daughter sometimes has a temper?
Yeah.
Sometimes. Do you think you overreacted to this a little bit?
I don't. I was scared if he shut off my cell phone.
Well, see, Raymond, that was your mistake. Do you understand?
Yes.
That was really your mistake. Aside from the fact that when this happened, she was 17. Dating a minor is an issue. I can imagine how her mother felt. She's talking to her daughter. Her daughter's a 17-year-old idiot who's in the car, is having a fight about whatever. And all of a sudden, no, don't speak. And all of a sudden, that conversation is interrupted and she can't get back to her daughter. One day you'll have a daughter. You will understand what that must feel like. You understand?
Yes.
The charges were dropped on this protective order?
Yeah. 2 weeks later on the date that we're supposed to, see if it was going to get extended or not, it got dropped.
Right. Because everybody got cooler. Good. Okay. So, Raymond, next time you'll be smarter. Next time, pick on somebody your own age. You'll be much happier. Look at their birth certificate. Make sure that they're 18 or over before you make a contract with them. Understood?
Understood.
All right, you get $289, $100 for the limo, $189 for his Christmas present that he took back. You, on your counterclaim, get nothing but a good lesson. All right? Thank you very much. Two nice people. Move on with your life. Have a happy life.
What is that excuse? You may step out.
He's a very controlling guy, and I just figured put it on national television to see the whole world how controlling he is.
It's okay. It sounds fair. My mistake.
I didn't like him from the beginning because she was only 17.
My mother doesn't know how to stay out of things.
When he wanted her to go somewhere, she had to do it.
She's always trying to tell me what to do.
If he didn't want her to go, she couldn't do it.
Not seeing a 23-year-old again.
I didn't like it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sarah Borden versus Taylor Marquez. Step forward, please.
19-year-old barista Devin Serra and her boyfriend Michael Borden are suing their former roommates, 20-year-old cashier Angela Marquez and her boyfriend Gary Taylor, for breaking a lease. Angela says she moved out because she was scared to live with Devin.
The two of you decided to lease an apartment with the two of you.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
You leased the apartment when?
December 11th in 2004.
Moved in when?
That same day.
That was fast. How big an apartment?
It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
You're not married?
No.
You're not married?
No,
You're going to have a baby?
Yes.
Well, everything's fine. You're all friends, right? When did you move out?
January 28th, 2005.
Okay, and you want 3 months rent from them
Yes.
because you're stuck with the lease.
Yeah.
And you also say that when they moved out, they took some property that didn't belong to
Yes,
them.
they did.
You'll tell me about that in a minute. And you say you had to move out because she threatened you, and they both told you to go, and you just went. And you couldn't be stressed out because you're pregnant.
Yes, Your Honor.
How old are you?
20.
How old are you?
I'm 20, Your Honor.
Do you have a job?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you work at?
I'm a firefighter.
And you?
Cashier.
Two 20-year-olds having a baby? That would make me nervous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She grabs the salt and the pepper, she throws it against the wall. She comes after me, in my face, picking up her hands like she was going to come after me and hit me.
Oy, 20 years old and you're having a child.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Devin Serra and her boyfriend Michael Borden claim former roommates Angela Marquez and her boyfriend Gary Taylor owe for breaking a lease.
Okay. Are you still living in the apartment?
Yes, we are.
Do you have new roommates?
Not yet.
How much is the rent?
$8.65 a month.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a barista.
A what?
A barista.
What's a barista?
I work at Starbucks. Cashier, make drinks.
Yeah, they make burritos and stuff.
Oh, barista. No, really, seriously.
A
what's
barista, yeah.
Is that what it's called, a barista?
Yes.
So you work at Starbucks full-time?
Part-time.
What else do you do?
I'm a student.
How much do you make from working as a barista?
I make $7.20 an hour.
How much do you take home every week?
Every 2 weeks, I make about $200.
And that's what you support yourself on?
Myself, yeah.
And what about you?
Seasonal firefighter.
Seasonal firefighter.
Firefighter.
What does that mean?
Work with the Forest Service, so I wildland firefighting, just with the summer.
What do you do the rest of the time?
Right now, I'm working as an athletic trainer.
You train people individually or what?
It's with the high school.
How much do you make?
It's $12.66 an hour, and I bring home about $2,000, a little over $2,000 a month.
Okay, so you can afford the rent.
Yes.
Great. You're going to stay in this apartment?
Yes.
Why don't you sign off on the lease?
We did, Your Honor. We tried.
No, you either did or you tried.
We did.
You did sign off on the lease.
My fiance had
Let me
gone to the manager's office and asked for a release form. And we showed it to them, and they said they weren't going to sign us off if we didn't pay the February rent.
You left there because of your own safety, is that right?
Yes.
You had security deposit.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much security deposit did you put down?
$250.
That's for both of you, was the security deposit?
It was actually $450, but in half, it was about $225 each on deposit from each couple.
From each couple?
From each couple.
Okay. You moved out January 28th. Why shouldn't you be responsible for February's rent? They certainly couldn't find somebody else in 2 days to rent the apartment.
Because January, I would say the 21st, on January is a Sunday. I had like the last straw with them. I was like in a mood that I couldn't talk to them. I didn't want to just go out there and say stuff. And so finally I told Mike if we could talk. And he said, sure, meet us for dinner here at the house and we'll talk. So we talked about it. We sat there. I went first and I told her how I felt and everybody. And then she went and she said how she felt and whatnot. Well, all of a sudden, she went crazy. She went out of this world. She pulled out of her chair. She started screaming and saying, I'm not happy that you're pregnant. It's not fair that you're pregnant. I had an abortion. I did this and this and this and that. And she's like, it's my fault that I brought you together and you're pregnant. You're going to suffer and you're this and that.
And then she just pulls out of her chair. She grabs the salt and the pepper. She throws it against the wall. She goes back to her room screaming and just going crazy. She comes back out of her room throwing stuff, just hitting walls and whatnot. She comes after me. Like she was this close from me, in my face, picking up her hands like she was going to come after me and hit me. Then
What was she saying to you?
Saying that she couldn't take it anymore. She didn't like living with me and Gary, that she hated the fact that I was pregnant, and she had to see me happy. She didn't want to see me happy. And I was like, okay, don't you want to see me happy?
Oy, 20 years old and you're having a child.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Now, why were you upset?
We were all upset.
I assume you were all upset.
Yeah.
Good. I don't want to be upset.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be upset. Where are you living now?
We're living somewhere else now, in another apartment.
They signed off on the lease on January 25th.
That was the date I got the papers, and that was the day I wanted all of us to get the signatures so we can get off the lease.
Did you or did you not sign off on the lease?
We
did.
signed it, and they had to sign it. The manager told us, we cannot get you off the lease unless they sign you off because they're still staying there.
Fine. Court will draft an order 5 days from today. Do you all live in the same town?
Yes.
You're all going to meet in the landlord's office, 9 a.m. Sign the release form. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
I am going to award you their share of February's rent because they had an obligation to pay at least 1 month's rent for you to spend that month looking for a new roommate if that's what you wanted to do. I think that that's fair, don't you?
Yes, Your Honor.
When you sign off on the lease, you will also get a check for $250 for your security deposit. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
If you don't go there 5 days from today, I'm giving the plaintiffs the right to come back and ask for a judgment for the remainder of the lease. And they will take it out of your pay. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand the order?
Yes.
Good. Now, let's get to what property you say they took when they moved out.
When they were moved out, they took a lot of belongings and stuff.
Oh,
when they moved
a
out.
lot of belongings doesn't help me, madam.
They took food, they took
I don't
cleaning
care.
supplies.
Are you kidding me or what? Other than food and cleaning supplies.
That's all they took.
I hope you've replaced them. You don't want the food back, do you?
No.
Good. Okay, you understand the order?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's all.
Versus Flick. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mrs. Flick, the defendant is your soon-to-be former daughter-in-law.
Yes.
Currently married to your son, but I assume that you're in the process of divorcing. Is that right?
Yes.
It is your claim that she owes you money for two things. First, some hockey tickets that you paid for that were never delivered. And second, some slashed tires in a car that your son was driving and that you claim the defendant vandalized on 2 separate occasions. How long have they been married?
They've been married since August 13th of 2002.
When did you give her the money for these tickets, these hockey tickets, and why?
In October, they went to a Minnesota Wild, Detroit Red Wings hockey game, and my son is a Detroit Red Wings fan. My son's birthday was in March. He said he wanted to go back. Michaela has had an arrangement with her employer where he would buy hockey tickets and give them to her at cost. These were extremely good seats, but they were still $70 a piece. I agreed because it's my son's birthday to purchase 6 tickets.
Just a second. You agreed with whom?
Michaela.
And you said 6 tickets?
6 tickets.
And who was supposed to go?
Michaela and David, my son David.
Which is David? Raise your hand, David. Okay.
Myself and a friend of mine, my son Neil and his girlfriend.
Okay. So, did you send Michaela a check?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that check?
I have a check. It's not made out to her. She asked because the money was going to be deducted from her paycheck, that was money she needed to pay rent. She asked me to make it out to the place she was living at the time.
Is that right so far?
Yes.
Okay. So what happened?
My employer took the money out of my check, and he was going to get the hockey tickets for me. It was taking a long time, and Charlotte was concerned about her not really getting the tickets because her son has done things where he hasn't exactly been honest with her and took money from her before. So during this time, he wanted to start up a home-based business, a web design company. And so December 8th, we went out to Walmart. He bought a whole bunch of stuff, a computer printer, a scanner, ink cartridges.
He bought a lot of stuff, yes.
A lot of stuff. And he took that money.
What money?
The $420. That's what he bought that stuff with.
He can't take the money. The check wasn't made out to him. It was made out to the rental company in October 28th. He can't take this money.
I got the money back from my employer. The employer gave me the money back.
Show me.
I don't have anything
This wasn't,
to show that.
listen to me. So what you're telling me, this is your defense. Your employer gave you back the money that he had taken out of your pay to buy the tickets so that you could take your husband shopping for something else.
Yes.
You still owe her the money.
Okay.
Do you understand why? No, but I'm going to explain to you why.
Okay.
You had a contract, verbal, with her. Your contract with her was, I will send you $420 and you will purchase these tickets. You cannot unilaterally modify the terms of that contract by contracting with somebody else, even your husband. Aside from the fact that I have a feeling if I ask your husband whether you took the money back from your employer,
He's not going to tell you.
He would say no. Is that right?
Correct.
Right, because you're lying. That's just a lot of who shot John that you're giving me. All right, now let's get to the tire slashing. I just wanted to try to figure out what kind of person you are. Okay? Now here we go. So then we go to the tire slashing.
The first one was January 27th
of 2003.
Of 2003, and the second one was February 13th of 2003.
Who saw the incident of the 27th of January 2003?
My son Neil. Neil, would you come up, please?
Neil, your last name is Flick?
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me.
Okay, it was about 11:15 at night. I was actually waiting for my girlfriend to come over because we kind of go out at night. And I saw my brother and his friend Neil Truitt is right there, waiting in a car. They proceeded to leave to go out on their own. And as I was watching, I noticed a celebrity, or it looked like a celebrity as I saw it, by my brother's car.
So they weren't driving your brother's car, they were driving a different car.
Neil was driving his Buick Regal. I saw her car, which was a celebrity, by my brother's car.
Your brother's car was parked?
Yes, it was parked on the street outside of our house. Excuse me.
Okay, go ahead.
And I didn't actually see her slash the tires. I see her actually enter her car, slam the door, and drive down the street.
And this was about 11:15 at night?
Yes, 11:15.
The other witness to that event was Neil Truitt, who was in the car with my son David at the time.
But he didn't see anything?
No, but he was on the phone with her, and she gave him a play-by-play description of what she was doing.
Oh, really? Okay, Mr. Truitt, tell me what happened on the 27th, sir.
See, I just went and purchased a car, so me and Dave were just going to go out driving. And I would say about a half hour after we had been driving around, I had received a call from Kayla, who I was also friends with at the time. And she heard that he was in the car with me. So she said something nasty about him. He said something nasty about her. She managed, I guess, to hear that. And by the way she was talking, it sounded like she might have been inebriated. She's like, well, heck with it, I'm going to go slash his tires, and hangs up. Well, that's why we had went back to his house, because he thought that she was going to really do it. I didn't think she was going to do it. But we stopped by anyway, and we waited just to make sure that she wasn't going to show up. She never showed up, so we left. And she'd called me up about 5 to 10 minutes after we had left. And she goes, well, I'm here now. And I said, where are you? She goes, well, I'm right here, next to Dave's car. And so she goes...
Did she say I'm right next to Dave's car?
She said I'm at the house. So
I'm at the house. Well, don't make it up as you're going along. I want to hear exactly what she said to you, sir.
Okay. Apologize. She goes, well, here goes the first one. And you could hear a thud. And she goes, here goes the second one. And then you hear another thud. And she says, okay, I feel better now. And then she hung up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Within 5 years, can you tell me how old you are?
Around 50.
I'm just thinking about how old I am. I'm also somewhere around 50.
And later today,
She was coming closer towards me. I put my arms up in a defense mode.
She was in my face, and she pushed me down into the bushes. I fell flat on my back and hit my head on the cement surrounding the parking lot.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Charlotte Flick says her estranged daughter-in-law, Michaela Flick, owes for hockey tickets and for slashing her tires. Michaela says Charlotte is seeking revenge on behalf of her son.
Go ahead. The only reason that all this stuff is going on is because on December 8th...
Shh, listen to me. I don't care about what you perceive to be the reason. I care about whether you slashed your husband's tires. The answer is either I did...
I didn't.
...or I didn't.
I had just got back in town that night about 9, 10 o'clock p.m. from Minnesota. It was Super Bowl weekend, and I was in the process all night moving from my residence to my mother's house. The second night, I got it.
I didn't get to the second night
Okay.
yet. Can you think of any reason why Mr. Truitt would make up this story?
Yes, I can.
I'll
December
hear you.
8th, me and my husband got in a domestic violent dispute where he pushed me and was in mid-swing of a punch where I broke a beer bottle upside his head. We were both arrested for domestic violence.
Yes.
His mother bailed him out. I don't know why, because he's kicked her teeth in before. He has a history of violence. I found out that Neil, after this incident, my best friend of 7 years, was hanging out with Dave. Dave has a coke problem. I was getting on Neil's butt, wondering if he was into that now because he's my best friend and I care about him. Dave has a history of violence and a history of lying. He's done it his whole life. He's ran people over with cars. His little brother had to pry him off me while he was strangling me one time.
So
Dave,
it's the same. So it's
after,
the shh.
Okay.
And based upon what you're telling me, his brother's testimony is false as well for the same reason.
Yeah, I was not at that house.
For the same reason. And you can't think of anyone else who might slash his tires. Let me ask you this question. Prior to December of 2002, how many times had the tires been slashed on your car?
None.
Never.
Never.
And within 5 years, can you tell me how old you are?
Around 50.
Good. So in 50 years, nobody has ever slashed your tires. I'm just thinking about how old I am. I'm also somewhere around 50. And I, for many, many years, lived in New York City. Nobody ever slashed my tires. Now I'm going to ask you the same question. I know how old you are.
Then it ain't necessary to be said, right?
Yeah. No, that's not necessary. How many times did you have your tires slashed on your car?
Never.
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 So isn't it sort of coincidental that probably we have 100 years over here? And only after this domestic violence dispute that you had with your soon-to-be former husband do her tires get slashed? Not once, but 2 times. Isn't that coincidental?
No.
Well, you may not like the coincidence, but if you understood what the word meant, you would understand that it is coincidental. It is coincidental. You may not like the ramifications of it, but the word that you would use under those circumstances, madam, is coincidental. Let me hear about February 13th, please.
February 13th, which we kind of expected something to happen. That would have been their 6-month anniversary. David went out and got into his car and found out that his tires were slashed at that time. About 5 minutes later, he got a phone call from Michaela.
Well, then I don't want you to tell me about that. He will have to tell me about that. Stand up. Go ahead.
I went out to my car after I was hanging out with a couple of my friends that night, and I got in my car, drove about half a block before both my tires went flat. And I got back home, called the police, and after maybe about 20-25 minutes, she called and just tried to make small talk to basically get me riled up, I would assume.
But she didn't say anything about your tires.
She didn't say anything about the tires, but...
Okay, fine. Get over it.
Okay.
Get over it. You're supposed to act like grown-up, Miss Flick.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
21.
This is your first marriage?
Yes.
You don't celebrate your 6-month anniversary with your soon-to-be ex-husband by slashing
I was
his
in the
tires.
bar all night
Right.
with my brother, who's right here.
Was she there, as she said?
Yes.
Right. Sure she was. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $621.24. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Michaela has a history of probably 20 destruction of properties.
Now I have 2 destruction of properties, and they're not slashing tires, they're breaking out windows.
Even at the last statement that the defendant made that this was her brother, that would probably be news to her mother or her father because it's not her brother.
She's my adopted sister. If she doesn't want to believe that, then that's her problem.
I think the judge is right when she says she needs to grow up.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Edie versus Nevius, step forward, please.
24-year-old nanny Heather Edie is suing 20-year-old waitress Jillian Nevius for assaulting her outside a bar. Jillian says Heather called her a name.
Miss Edie, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you outside of a bar. You weren't seriously injured, but you want to be compensated for any medical bills that you have and for your discomfort. Ms. Nevius doesn't seem to deny that she was responsible for pushing you. She has an excuse. I'm going to listen to it. And she even at one point said she agreed to give you $150 towards whatever expenses you had. But then there was some sort of a disagreement about how she was going to get the money to you, which resulted in the two of you coming to court today. So, when was this bar fight?
It was on the morning of January 27th, 2003.
Which means what time?
1:45, I was leaving the bar.
So it was outside the bar?
Yes, in the parking lot.
Did you know the defendant prior to that evening?
I did know her, but we had never really spoken before then. I just knew she didn't like me.
What made you think she didn't like you?
Rumors, people telling me, and the way
Never
she
listened to
acted.
that.
Well,
Never
she
listened.
also admitted to people that she didn't like me, so.
Shouldn't bother you.
Okay.
So what happened?
I was out celebrating my birthday at a bar, and the defendant was there using a false identification. I was leaving the bar with my friend, and my friend said facetiously, oh, I forgot to say goodbye to Jill. And I answered back with a derogatory name about the defendant, not knowing.
Why did you do that?
Like I said, I had heard all the things that she said about me. She had heard things about me.
So you called her a nasty name?
Yes, I did.
And?
And then I turned around, and she was in my face, and she pushed me down into the bushes. I fell flat on my back.
She was around you when you called her a nasty name?
I did not know that, though. I was walking out of the door, and she was behind me. And I was talking to my friend at the time.
At some point, you turned around?
Yes, I did.
Well, what caused you to turn around?
Her yelling my friend's name.
And?
And she pushed me down into the bushes. I fell flat on my back and hit my head on the cement surrounding the parking lot.
Okay, and that's the assault that you're talking about?
Yes, it is.
You have a report?
I did not do a police report. I was going to, but we came up with a settlement outside of not using it, and because she was in the bar illegally, underage, I didn't feel that she needed any more trouble. So I didn't do a police report.
Okay. So she agreed to give you $150, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You want to tell me, is anything different about that evening from what she's already told me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stop laughing. It's not funny.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing. I do want to state my case. On the day it happened, the witness, which did not show up, Danielle, she was our friend, a mutual friend that I've been friends with for about 2 years. Since they started hanging out, she kind of stopped talking to me. They were going to leave, and this is a place that I've gone to with all my work friends, every Sunday for karaoke for probably a good 3 months. I had never been carded there. I know. Okay. So anyways, I went to go talk to my friend.
Let's get to 1:45 in the morning.
Okay. So everybody was leaving. The two of them were leaving. They had said goodbye to everybody except for me. And this was the second time that it had happened. And, as a good friend of mine, I wanted to know. I wanted to get to the bottom of why she wasn't talking to me anymore. So I went out the door to go talk to her. Heather was standing behind her. And I go, hey, Danielle, can I talk to you? And as soon as I walked through the door, she had called me the name. And so I was like, hey, whoa, what, I felt very, I was like, wait a second, I just want to talk to my friend, I want to get to the bottom of it. Me and Heather have known each other, we have been cordial with each other, we've never been friends, but as soon as she called me that, I felt very threatened, and she had been drinking a lot. It was her birthday, we were celebrating, and when it happened, when she called me the name, I put my arms up in a defense mode, and then she was coming closer towards me, and so I did push her because I felt threatened. She was in my personal space.
Okay, so you pushed her and she fell?
Yes, ma'am.
And you agreed to pay her $150?
I did, after I had asked to see some kind of documentation that she had gone to the doctor. That's something that we verbally had stated. I did sign a letter to her because I'm the kind of person that...
Shh, I don't care what kind of person you are.
Okay.
Did she agree to pay you if you went to the doctor?
She agreed to pay me so I could go to the doctor. That was what the agreement was for.
Okay.
And I have the letter right here.
Can I see it?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I speak?
I want to look at the letter first,
Okay.
then you can speak. This doesn't say anything about going to the doctor.
No, it doesn't.
No.
Okay. I had written the letter. She had called me many a times. I was in the process of moving. I didn't know what to do. Once I...
You did it!
I know I did.
So do it!
And I had... Okay, so there's more to this story, Your Honor. I have messages on my cell phone, which I didn't get a chance to dub, which I should have, but I didn't get a chance to.
I'm interested what you didn't get a chance to do.
The night that I was supposed to pay her, at the bar that night, her boyfriend did come in and threaten me, and that is why my witness is here. He's been through the whole thing. He was there the time it happened, after it happened, and she fell. I told her that she was faking because the way she fell, Your Honor, I mean, it was...
You signed a note!
Okay.
She gave up the right to call the police and to have you charged with an assault or an attempted assault. You agreed to give her $150 so that wouldn't happen, and you didn't do it. So I don't care what happened with her boyfriend, with your boyfriend. I don't want to hear from either one of them. I hardly want to hear from you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Ms. Woods. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Parks, you and the defendant were engaged to be married. He went off to the military. Your claim is that while he was away, you paid some bills for him. That when he came back from the military, he ended the engagement. You want to be reimbursed for the bills you paid for him, as well as your wedding expenses and a ring that you gave to him.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you become engaged?
July 98.
And when did you go into the military, sir?
September 16th of 98.
Had you been living together?
Yes.
You returned from the military when, sir?
December.
Of 98?
Yes.
And it's the bills from September to December that you claim you paid for him?
There were others prior to, or after December that I had paid. He went in for course school after basic training.
Is that correct?
December.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you finally terminate the engagement?
May or June of 99.
Now tell me about these bills that you paid for him.
Okay. He moved in with me right before we got engaged. He had his bills forwarded to my parents' address, which we were living, right before he went into the military service. When he went in, the first bill came, and it was kind of hard to contact him. There was no connection.
What bill was that?
The first one was some BMG music bills. They were small, but the big first one was his associate's credit card bill.
AT&T.
Yeah, AT&T, which was $496.78.
So what did you do? You couldn't reach him?
No, I couldn't reach him. I decided to pay it off, and as soon as I could get an email or an address from him, I would write him telling him the bills that I paid off and that I would expect him to pay me back. And I have here a list of the bills that I paid and the letter and his letter returning to me saying that he would pay me back.
How did you get a copy of this letter?
Before he returned to course school, he gathered up all his letters that I gave to him when he was in basic training and had me hold on to them for him.
Okay. So this is what we have, Mr. Woods. You are absolutely correct in your answer when you say that she chose to pay your bills, and she did that voluntarily. She acknowledges that she did that initially, but then you agreed to pay her back.
I was thinking at the time, I mean, I was still very grateful that she did pay him. But I was thinking I was going to come back home, we were going to get married, because we'd also talked about before that, we were going to have the same, our bills are going to be our bills. The money that we made together was going to pay off these bills. I didn't never expect to come home and what happened, happened.
I'm sorry about all my bills that you're getting. You didn't have to pay off the whole thing, just the minimum payment. She didn't have to make the minimum payment, but clearly that's what you had expected. Don't worry, I will give you the money. I will help you with money when I get into a school, because you had some other bills that you were going to pay.
Right.
That they took out. So clearly, you tell her back in October of 1998, okay, that you were going to reimburse her for this money. Relying on what you say here, she continues to pay your bills because you promised to pay her back. Right?
Right.
Now, so that's point number one. Point number 2, sir, is that you say that you didn't anticipate that this was going to happen. You anticipated getting married, and that your money would be joint money. It would be there as joint money to pay off bills, but you wouldn't even think about it. So what do we have now? No engagement, no marriage, your bills are paid with her money. Is that fair?
That's not fair.
So why didn't you start paying her back some money?
I wanted to, but we were still together at the time. Before we had broken up, we got in, her parents, or her mom, had gone through all my stuff, and just without me being there, gone through all my papers, all my paperwork, and found letters, and just told me to move everything out of the house the next day.
Found letters to whom?
It was a letter from another female to me that I had met in boot camp, a close friend of mine, and we had gone really close, and what we had in Chicago, we had left in Chicago. I had every intent of coming back home and marrying Terry. And I still had feelings for her, but what I had done in Chicago, I left in Chicago. But her mom had gone through all my stuff, found letters, even little notebooks, and circled stuff in little notebooks and read and wrote names and words on it. And the next day, they asked me to get all the stuff out of the house.
So what you're telling me is you had not been faithful while you were in Chicago.
Right.
Her mother noodled around and found that out. So you're blaming her mother. Duh. That's what mothers are supposed to do. You think she wants her daughter to marry somebody who travels a couple of 100 miles away, messes around, and then just wants to forget it? I'm going to forget that. I'm going to come home and be a good boy. Good for you. And smart for you.
Thank you.
I once told one of my children during their engagement, I want you to know something about this time in your life. This is as good as it gets. There's more affection, more interest, more doting than any other time. You have fewer problems during this engagement period. You don't have joint bills and kids and in-laws and everything else that tend to impact on that romance that you have. So if you got a problem now, it's only going to get worse.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You burn letters that you don't want somebody to find.
I love that.
By the way, did you end up marrying Chicago?
No.
You still with Chicago?
No.
You left it in Chicago.
I haven't talked to her since Chicago.
And later today.
Why did you steal his car?
To get to a different city.
And you didn't have a car?
I got a license.
You have a license, you didn't have a car, so you took his.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Terry Park says ex-fiancé John Woods owes her for paying his bills while he was in the military and for an engagement ring.
Let's get to the wedding bills, because there is no real clear-cut legal decision with regard to the wedding bills. Your wedding dresses, your bridesmaid dresses, and that sort of thing. You think that you have any responsibility whatsoever, at least partial responsibility, for the expenses that she incurred towards the wedding?
No, ma'am.
You don't?
No.
Why not?
Because before we had even broken up completely, I had asked for the ring back. She didn't have to give it back, but she did. And from there, we were still dating afterwards, and we'd already planned to push the wedding about a year later.
But she had already taken care of these dresses, David's bridal, final payment in October.
Right.
That's before. You're still in Chicago, being unfaithful, while she's paying for the wedding dress. You understand? Mm-hmm. Now, when did you find these letters, these Chicago letters that he wrote to somebody else? In what month?
In June.
In June?
Of 99.
Oh, well, David's bridal was in March of 99. So you're still going full speed ahead with the wedding plans.
Right.
So now I'm going to ask you again. There were certain wedding expenses that she had. Why don't you think you're responsible for at least half of those wedding expenses that she incurred during the time that she really thought that you were going to get married, and only you knew that you had been messing around?
Because, for the bridesmaids' dresses, I always thought that the bridesmaids bought their own dresses. And
Did they?
They're supposed to.
All but 3.
What do you mean all but 3?
One had to be shipped out to Texas, and the 3 girls that could not make it to the shop with me, I paid for at that time.
Wish I should have paid you in return.
By the way, did you end up marrying Chicago?
No.
You still with Chicago?
No.
You left it in Chicago?
Yes. I haven't talked to her since Chicago.
Okay. Just some words of advice, Mr. Woods. You burn letters that you don't want somebody to find.
I learned that.
Keeping them makes a statement. Okay. He is not responsible for the ring. He is responsible for only half the cost. I believe that that's fair. Half the cost of what you laid out for a wedding that subsequently didn't come off, even if it wasn't his fault. In this case, it was. So I'm deducting that from your total amount of bills that you are submitting, none of which he disputes. He just says he didn't ask you to pay him. He may not have asked you to pay him, but he told you that he would repay you, and based on that, you continued to pay the bills for months after that. So I am not awarding you the full amount of your request, which was some $2,400, but I am awarding you $1,908.20. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Before things happened, our parents were always in our relationship. I mean, personal things, our sexual relationship. The whole family always knew about it because of her mother.
I wasn't that meddling, but I smelled a rat, so I went looking for evidence. And I did. I found it.
I hurt her bad. I didn't want her to get all the money, but I feel I was responsible for the bills that she paid, so hopefully she's happy with the money she got.
Always listen to your mother.
And now the next case.
All parties on Kramer versus Cornejo. Step forward, please.
16-year-old William Kramer Jr. and his father, William Sr., are suing 15-year-old student Giovanni Cornejo and his mother, San Juana Cornejo. William Jr. says Giovanni stole his CD collection when he stole his car.
Who are you?
I'm his parent, his father.
Why don't you have a seat, please? You're his mother? Yes. Why don't you have a seat, please? Mr. Kramer, you went to work according to a complaint at 5 p.m. on December 21st?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you parked your car in the parking lot?
Yes.
And the defendant stole your car?
Yes.
You admit that you stole his car?
Yes.
What time did you steal his car?
It was between the hours of 9 to 11, somewhere around there.
Why did you steal his car?
To get to a different city.
Well, where were you going?
Grand Rapids. It was a different city.
And you didn't have a car?
I got a license.
You have a license, you didn't have a car, so you took his. Okay. There came a time when you were stopped by the police?
Excuse me?
There came a time when you were stopped by the police?
Yes.
And what time was that?
I don't know. I don't know the times. I didn't know what time was it.
Has your case been disposed of in the criminal court?
No.
What do you mean no?
What do you mean by
Did you
it?
plead guilty?
Yes, I plead guilty.
Then it's been disposed of?
Yes.
Were you placed on probation?
Yes.
For how long?
About 3 months, 4 months.
Was this your first arrest?
Yes.
And according to your complaint, Mr. Kramer, when you got your car back, there was some CDs missing.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Cornejo says that he stole your car, but not your CDs.
Yes.
When were you notified that they had found your car?
It was about 11 p.m.
And where were you called, at home or at work?
I was at work. The police came and got me, and they escorted me to where the car was.
How far away from your place of employment was it?
It was about 20 minutes away. I don't know exactly the mileage.
And when you got there, did you find Mr. Cornejo there?
Yes.
And your car?
Yes.
Okay, and your car was stopped because of a taillight or something?
Broken headlight.
And you looked at the car at that time, you didn't see anything else missing?
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is sort of an apology, but I hope you've learned your lesson that you should watch out how you handle your keys the next time.
Your Honor, his keys were right there in the ignition.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old William Kramer Jr. says 15-year-old Giovanni Cornejo stole his car and his CD collection.
Mr. Cornejo, from the time you stole this car, I want you to tell me where you went.
Stole the car, and then I went to this gas station, I think in Byron Center.
Yes.
We went to the gas station, and I was on my way to...
You went to the gas station for what?
To put in some gas. He was almost on empty.
Okay.
So
Is that true?
Yes.
Fine. So you went to the gas station,
Yes.
filled up the car.
I didn't fill it up. I put $8 in.
And then where did you go?
From there, I was going through Grand Rapids, and we decided to go to this new mall that they just built.
A new mall. Who's we?
Me and my partner. He was there with me.
Your partner, your business partner?
No, not a business partner, a friend.
So you and your friend decided to go to a mall. Did you in fact go to the mall?
No, we got pulled over before.
So you only made one stop,
Yes.
and the one stop was to put gas in the car.
Yes.
Now when you got stopped, was your friend in the car with you?
Yes.
Was your friend arrested also?
Yes.
Did you in fact see any of Mr. Kramer's CDs?
I did see one CD. My friend said it was corn. I wasn't sure, so I went with corn. But we threw it back into the back seat, which I didn't find anything else. We didn't see anything else. He says he ain't seen nothing.
Now, did you have a CD named Corn?
Yes, I did.
Did you find that in the back of the car?
Yes, that was there. It was just empty, loose in the back of the car, in the back seat.
Well, that's what he says. He said he took it and he threw it in the back seat. I assume that you, once you got the car home, you went through an inventory. Is that right?
No, it was pretty late. I got it home around 3, then I went to bed. But the next morning I did.
Was that when you found the CDs missing?
Yes.
Other tthan the fact that Mr. Corneo stole your car, do you have any other evidence that he did in fact steal your CDs?
I have an apology here from him.
Can I see it?
Yeah. And there he states he doesn't listen to my...
Let me read it. Just a minute. This is sort of an apology, sort of. You say to Mr. Kramer in your letter of apology, which I assume you were ordered by the court to write?
Yes.
Of course. I love this judge. I have one thing to say to you, is that I hope you've learned your lesson, that you should watch out how you handle your keys the next time.
Your Honor, I didn't mean it as in like he was a dummy. He's doing it. I just meant it just because...
Where were his keys?
His keys were right there in the ignition.
That's not too clever. Was his car open?
Yes, it was open.
It was unlocked, but not... Doors weren't open.
But it was unlocked?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Kramer, you parked your car in the parking lot and you left the car unlocked. And you were gone from your car for at least several hours before Mr. Corneo stole your car.
Yes.
Anybody could have gone in the car and taken your CDs, sir.
Yes.
Right?
But in there he says he doesn't listen to my kind of music, so you would have to have seen the CDs in there
Well,
to
he
check what kind of
he
music.
saw one. He said he took out a corn... I never heard of that. Do you ever hear of corn?
Yeah.
I must be living on another planet, at least in another millennium.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You, Mr. Kramer, have to learn to be more careful with your property, because it is possible that somebody didn't steal your car, but opened the car door and took your CDs. Now, where were they?
Under the passenger seat.
In a box?
In a case holder.
What do you mean here? I know that my boy didn't take them either.
My friend. I know. He told me that he ain't take them. I ain't see him take them at all.
No, I don't think you took them. I don't think you took them. I think somebody may have taken them, sir. All right, in any event, Mr. Kramer, there is insufficient evidence for me to find that he, in fact, did steal this property, so I must dismiss your complaint. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Miss Bell, Mr. Fisher was your boyfriend. You're not together anymore, and according to your complaint, he maliciously called the police, told them that you were threatening suicide. They came to your house, they took you to the hospital. You were later released, but you want him to pay the medical bill.
All right.
Mr. Fisher says he was worried. Right?
Yes.
Okay. First tell me, when had you been dating? Over what period of time?
From May of 2002 through December.
And when was this telephone call made to the police?
On August 29th.
August 29th of 02?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
That night, Gerald and I had gotten together and we were talking about a previous case. And
previous case of what?
Domestic violence.
What previous case of domestic violence?
The week before, he had thrown a bottle at my car and damaged it, and I made a report to the police.
So you'd had a fight the week before?
It wasn't a fight.
Were you in the car when he threw something at the car?
I was driving away from him, and he was upset, and he threw the bottle. The night of this incident, he was upset that I had done all that, so he tried to bribe me.
You mean he was upset that you had called the police?
Yes. And he was
Where were you when you were having this discussion?
We were at my apartment.
Had you gone out for the evening?
No.
Did you have a date with him that night?
No, we got together that night just to discuss the situation.
Tell me about the discussion.
Through the discussion, he was trying to bribe me into dropping the domestic violence case, and he was telling me that his mother had called the police on me and told them that I had driven through his yard.
Did the police ever come to see you about those calls that were made by his mother?
No, ma'am.
So you don't know anything about it?
That's the only thing I know from what he told me.
And then you called the police on him because he threw a bottle at your car. Did he damage your car?
Yes.
Got together to talk about this incident, and then what happened?
Then I told him that since I hadn't been contacted by the police, I would only want to talk to him after they do and go through court with that. So he was upset he couldn't get another response out of me, and I asked him, are you ready to go home? So I drove him home. And on the way there, it was quiet at first, and then he started telling me, oh, you're nothing without me. You may as well go kill yourself. And so I stopped the car, and I made him get out.
How far away from his house did you make him get out?
Oh, gosh. It was about halfway there.
And about how far away was that from his house?
7 blocks.
Excuse me?
7 blocks.
7 blocks. Thank you very much. Okay, so you let him out, and what's the next thing that happened to you when you got home, Miss Bell?
Before I went to bed, I received a phone call from a dispatcher saying that someone had called on me and that the police would be on
Someone
their
had
way.
called on you about what?
A concern that they had had. She didn't exactly explain it to me over the phone.
Okay. Go ahead.
And she told me that also that the police were on their way and that they couldn't find the apartment number.
And the police did arrive?
Yes, they did.
When the police arrived at your apartment, what happened?
They questioned me about the incident in the car. And
in the car, you mean when you dropped him off?
Yes. And I told them everything that happened. And they went ahead and told me that I could either go willingly or I could go forcibly. And I decided to go willingly with them to get evaluated by a doctor because I knew I was fine and I just knew that they would release me. But
and did they?
Yes.
And then you got a bill from the doctor?
Yes.
Can I see the reports that you have from the hospital where you were taken? Thank you. Ms. Bell, you admit to the doctor that you did say to him when he said to you, you're worthless, you're nothing, you admit to the doctor that you said, fine, I'll just go ahead and overdose on ecstasy, that's what you said to him.
Yes.
But you didn't mean it.
I didn't say it to him.
Yes, you did. You told the doctor that you said it to him. The patient admits to the suicide statement of, I will overdose on ecstasy. The doctor has no reason to lie about that.
Yes.
Good. Did he ever choke you to the point of blacking out?
Yes.
Oh my God.
When was that? Just a second.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It was in June.
Where?
In my apartment.
So he also hit you many times and you have a scar. Did he do that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever contact the police about that?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I never even thought about it.
Did you do any of those things, Mr. Fisher?
Yes, we did have a once or twice 2 physical conflicts.
Why did you do that, Mr. Fisher?
Okay, first and foremost, Miss Selena Bell is the type of person where she can talk to you at one point and she will drive you to do another. I mean, I am the type of person, I am cool, calm, collected.
Why'd you hit her?
Why? We're in a relationship and she brought other people into a relationship, basically disrespected me and cheating on me, so I got basically fed up with it.
And you hit her?
Yes.
What about the choking her?
I believe we were playing at that time, and as far as the yes, as far as the hitting, I hit her in the shoulder, and as far as the choking, she never did black out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm somebody that if you feel as if has trotted on your manhood, you just have to stand there and take it and not use your hands. Do we understand each other, Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Good!
And later today,
the boyfriends took some stuff from their apartment?
Without my knowledge, yes.
But he got into the apartment with your knowledge?
Yes.
So you helped them. They were being nice to you and they got kicked in the teeth.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Selena Bell claims ex-boyfriend DJ Fisher had her falsely committed to a mental institution. DJ claims she threatened to overdose on ecstasy.
How long did you stay in the hospital, Miss Bell?
Overnight.
And then you were released the next day?
Yes, ma'am.
And your total medical bills were $782,
Yes.
is that right? Okay, Mr. Fisher, to you. You want to tell me what happened on August 29th?
Yes, situation was me and my
Just look at me, look at me.
Okay. Me and Miss...
Go like this.
All right. Me and Miss Bell had arguments. She didn't see my side of the story, and I didn't see her side of the story. She asked if I wanted to go home. I said, yes, please. As she was taking me home, she stopped and called a friend of hers and asked for some ecstasy pills. While I was still in the car, I felt that was disrespect. So I called her out of her name, called her the B word.
We called her a name. Okay.
She asked me to basically get out the car and walk because she was going to overdose on ecstasy and commit suicide. So I ran to a friend of mine's house who was also a minister at my church, knocked on his door. He wasn't home or didn't answer his door. From his house, I ran all the way home, sprinted home. That's a while. I called the police and was like, you know, my girlfriend's going to kill herself, you know, commit suicide, because she has had a history of ecstasy in the past. They basically went to her apartment and basically took custody of her and flattened her tires and whatnot and took her to a mental hospital. From there, I believe that's where the hospital bill came in at. So me, myself, I was just looking out for her because we were in a relationship.
And you cared about her?
Yeah, of course.
So you had a terrible concern for her?
Yeah,
is that right?
just like anyone else.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Fisher. You had sufficient concern for her that, let us say, you were together and she made this statement to you, you would have taken her to the hospital yourself if you were driving, right?
Out of respect, I got out of her car because she made...
No, just pay attention to what I'm saying. Don't try to think of where I'm going, Mr. Fisher, because you're not smart enough. Do you understand? Do you understand? You're not smart enough.
Okay.
Okay. If you had been together in the car and your girlfriend, who you cared a lot about, which is why you ran home and got all out of breath, but if you were in the car together and she made this statement, you would have taken her right to an emergency room yourself, right?
Yes.
And since Miss Bell didn't have insurance, you would have said, you have to take care of her. I'll pay, right?
You said,
Right?
I'll pay?
Yeah, sure. You were that concerned.
I don't care about it like that, but...
You don't? Well, that's what I want to know, Mr. Fisher. That's what I'm trying to figure out, sir.
As far as...
If you... I'm speaking.
Okay.
You may be able to interrupt them, but you don't interrupt me.
All right.
Because I'm entitled to disrespect you if you deserve it.
Okay.
You got it?
Yes.
And you can't do anything about it except whine. We understand each other, Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
I'm somebody that, if you feel as if has trotted on your manhood, you just have to stand there and take it and not use your hands. Do we understand each other, Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Good. Now, so my question to you is, you cared about her enough to call the police and have the police go to her house, but you didn't care enough about her that if you were together and somebody said you have to pay to admit her to the hospital, you wouldn't pay for her, right?
I mean, that's her own thing. If she wants to... I ain't got nothing to do with me anymore.
Well, if it had nothing to do with you, then what did you call the police for, Mr. Fisher?
I felt like that's only way out, or way to the situation I had.
Did it have anything to do with the fact that she had called the police a couple of weeks earlier on you?
No, it didn't.
No. You were genuinely concerned?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Miss Bell, back to you, madam. This incident happened, according to you, on the 29th of August. And according to you, you and the defendant were boyfriend and girlfriend from May of 2002 until December of 2002. Is that right?
We were on and off.
On and off and on and off means that you were together until December of 2002. Is that right?
Correct.
And why are you here today, madam?
Because I felt like he did this out of retaliation.
Then you should have sued him in September, October, November,
He
December.
told me he was going to help pay for it.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Well, tell me about that, Miss Bell. That's different.
I would bring it up, tell him that, you know, I just got released from active duty in the military, and, you know, I got released because of this incident. You know, I was security forces, and they don't want me being armed because of this suicidal situation.
Excuse me. May I interrupt, please?
No.
All right.
Would you just get to when he said he would pay the bill?
He would say it a number of times during our relationship.
Okay. You don't have a case for two reasons. First of all, because you did in fact make the statement to him, I'm going to kill myself with ecstasy. You acknowledged that statement to the doctor who examined you. But second and most important is that you continued a relationship with him for 4 months after this incident. 4 months. And if you honestly believe that he had called the police to be vindictive, to be vicious, then I don't see why a normal person would continue a relationship in any event. For both of those reasons, I'm dismissing your case. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was concerned for her safety. I mean, we were together. Anybody in a relationship would basically support each other.
I'm tired of people messing up my credit, and that's all he was after, is trying to ruin me.
I really don't know why I'm going through this situation, but I'll be all right.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Detweiler versus Davison, step forward, please.
23-year-old student Miranda Detweiler is suing her former friend, 21-year-old stagehand Sandra Davison, for the return of her belongings. Sandra is countersuing for rent and stolen property.
Miss Detweiler, when were you in rehab?
July of 2002.
For how long?
21 days.
What kind of substances were you abusing?
Heroin and other things.
Was it a court-ordered rehab?
No.
When you got out in August?
Yes.
Did you go for follow-up treatment?
Yes.
What kind of treatment?
I'm still going to outpatient therapy, and I have a caseworker, and I go to counseling.
Take methadone?
No, I take Paxil.
According to your complaint, when you got out of rehab, you needed a place to stay. Miss Davidson and her husband, is this your husband, boyfriend?
Ex-boyfriend.
Ex-boyfriend, invited you to come and stay with them.
Yes.
I assume she was a good friend of yours.
Yes.
According to Miss Davidson, there were a couple of conditions for that, and one of the conditions was that you stay away from the ex-boyfriend. Is that right?
Yes.
And get yourself together. There came a time when Miss Davidson told you to leave. She put you out of the house, and you claim she kept some of your property and has not returned your property.
Yes.
Ms. Davidson said you had ample opportunity to take all of your property. She doesn't have any of your property, and she's counterclaiming because she says either you or your boyfriend stole some stuff from her house, and you never paid rent as you had agreed to pay when you moved in.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Miranda Detweiler claims former friend Sandra Davison won't return her belongings. Sandra claims Miranda's ex-boyfriend stole her property and sold it for drugs.
How long did she stay with you?
For about 7 months.
What was the rent agreement?
$50 a week for the whole time she was there.
Was she working when she got out of rehab?
No, ma'am.
So how did you expect her to pay $50 a week?
She was expected to try and find a job to the best of her ability.
So you didn't expect her to pay rent until she found the job?
Yeah.
All right, let's get the whole thing together. When did she finally find a job?
And beginning of December.
So from August until December, she wasn't working?
No.
So how was she going to pay you rent? Right. So that takes care of the rent. You didn't tell her to leave in August, September, October, November, did you?
No, I didn't want to see her go back on the streets and...
Good. I assume that, but for the fact that she filed this lawsuit, you wouldn't have filed a counterclaim for the rent. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So spend my time and energy on things that are important. What kind of things did she steal from your apartment?
She didn't steal it. She had her boyfriend at the time. She snuck him into the house, and he removed property from us and
like what?
Sold it. $900 bass guitar, $150 worth of DVDs, and a $350 PlayStation 2, and sold it for drugs.
When did the boyfriend get out of jail?
I'm not exactly sure.
When did he get out of jail?
A week before Christmas of that year, 2002.
Oh.
This stuff was stolen.
Shh. Week before Christmas.
Yes.
When did he go into jail?
July.
When was your stuff stolen?
January of 2002.
So is what you're telling me before she moved into your apartment, before she was in rehab, she had let somebody in a year before?
No, it was the same year. Her and her boyfriend got kicked out of their apartment, so we told them that they could stay with us. She had a job, she was paying rent, $50 a week, and the boyfriend was supposed to be getting a job. During that time, we gave him a month, and he never got a job, so we told him we wanted him to leave. She was still paying, she was allowed to stay, but we didn't want him around because we knew he was still using drugs. She snuck him into the house numerous times, and once we found out about it, we told her to leave.
Is that right? Just answer the question. Is that right?
Not exactly true.
Close.
Okay.
Was it close?
Close.
The boyfriends took some stuff from their apartment?
Without my knowledge, yes.
He may have taken it without your knowledge, but he got into the apartment with your knowledge.
Yes.
So you helped them. They were being nice to you, and they got kicked in the teeth.
What is not mentioned is that they were friends long before that I met him. He used to live with them at their old apartment.
They put him out. You let him back in. If he took their property and sold it, you're as responsible. Now, what are you kvetching about things that these people didn't return to you?
I have a list of things that she kept of mine. She destroyed a lot of my stuff. She peed on my shoes.
Go ahead.
So there's so many things in here that they're just broken. She took all my liquid stuff and poured it all over my clothes. There was an open beer in my clothes. There was just a lot of, like, all my good stuff she kept. Like my blades and...
What did you do about reimbursing her for all the stuff your boyfriend had stolen?
It's not like it's just my boyfriend. I'm the one who told her about it. She wouldn't have even known I stole it. He stole it. I'm the one who told him he stole it.
What did you do about paying her back for all the stuff that your boyfriend stole with your help?
I shouldn't have to.
Why not?
Because it's not my fault.
Sure it is, honey. Oh, yes, it is. It's your fault. You let him in.
He was staying there.
No, they had put him out. They had put him out. They told you could stay because you were paying rent, but he was still using, so he was out. And then he went back to jail, right?
Yes.
So they were right to put him out.
Yes.
Ms. Detweiler, I wouldn't complain if I were you. Listen, classic example of no good deed goes unpunished. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes.
I'm not going to get the value of your stuff back, but I certainly are not going to even listen to the nonsense about somebody spilling a bottle of shampoo in her stuff.
Harris, Washington versus Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
How old are you?
17.
What's your first name?
Jordan.
Jordan, you're a very tall boy.
Yes.
Woo! 17 years old. How tall are you?
6'6".
That's not fair. All I wanted to be was 5'4".
All I wanted to do was be rich.
You made it.
Yeah.
Jordan, you play baseball?
Basketball.
Basketball. And this was your coach?
Yes.
Not your coach anymore?
Right.
And you and your mother are suing him over an iPod.
Correct.
An iPod that Mr. Johnson said he did in fact sell. He's not even sure it belonged to you, but he has some story to tell me that he thinks justifies taking your iPod and selling it, and then he has a counterclaim for certain money that he says he extended to you, Jordan, and some harassment nonsense. So, Mr. Johnson, why don't you tell me about the iPod?
I know very little about the iPod until the incident happened.
Well, you were traveling, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you traveling?
It was in July of 2009.
And you were traveling with the team?
Yes, ma'am.
Jordan was a member of the team?
At that time, yes, ma'am.
You were traveling by bus?
We rented a 12-passenger van.
Is he the tallest one on the team?
At that time, yes, he was.
Where'd you get the iPod from, Jordan?
I bought it from a friend.
What friend?
Caleb.
When did you buy it from Caleb?
Say about March of 09.
How much did you pay him for it?
$300.
Back in March of 09, what were they selling them for in the store?
$400. $450.
Why wouldn't you buy one from the store?
Because my friend was selling it for cheaper.
Where did he get it from?
He got it from the store.
Okay. So tell me, now you're traveling by bus, Mr. Johnson, and what happened?
Well, to make the story right, my witness here can testify as to when the iPod first came in question.
Okay. Who are you?
Tammy Williams.
How do you know these people?
I'm his wife, and I'm the team manager, team mom. I take care of all the tournaments, make all the reservations.
Tell me what you know about this iPod.
I do know that we had got to our destination.
Which was where?
Las Vegas, Nevada. And Jordan approached me and told me that his iPod was missing. I told him, did you check your bag good enough? And Jordan said he did and he couldn't find it. Told him, go check the van. He said, well, maybe someone took it. And I told him, no one took it. So let everyone get their stuff out the van first. Go back and search the van. It's probably in the van. After that, I didn't hear anything about it until a couple days later. That time I had assumed that Jordan had found it because he never mentioned it anymore.
Okay. Then you can pick it up, Mr. Johnson.
Well, I was made aware of an incident concerning a player having money stolen from him, And so we decided to have a team meeting to try to get to the bottom of what was going on. And during that meeting, it was discovered, which he later admitted to, that Jordan was the perpetrator of stealing the $20 from the
Well, tell
other
me
teammate.
what Jordan said to you at that meeting.
At the initial meeting, when we had everybody, we called it kind of holding court. And so when I confronted Jordan, it was laughed off at like it was a prank. So at that time, I was like, man, give him his money back and be done with it. And that was the last I heard.
So far, Jordan,
that
is
time.
that correct?
That's incorrect.
Tell me about the $20.
Okay.
Don't look up there. Up there's not going to help you.
Okay, after my iPod was missing for about 2 days, I was upset, and I seen a wallet on the bed, and I looked in it, and there's some money in there. I was upset about the iPod, so I just took I took $20 out of the iPod. I mean, out of the wallet.
Out of one of your teammates' wallets.
Yes, it was sitting there.
I don't care if it was sitting there or doing a jig. You stole $20 out of his wallet.
Okay.
So, Mr. Johnson, you gave the player the $20?
Actually, my wife gave the player
the $20.
He had been given the opportunity to return that money earlier in the day, and he never would do that. He told me he had left the money in his bag in the room, and I told him I would be going in his bag to retrieve the money to give it back to the player. When I got to the room, there was no money in the bag, so I had to wait till for Jordan to come back from sightseeing to once again have the team meeting again and confront him about the $20.
And what happens at that meeting?
This is when his whole attitude really flipped on me. He, matter of fact, told me that he had no intentions of returning the money, and I was kind of thrown aback, and I asked him, well, why? What's going on? Why would you take your teammate's money? And he said, well, somebody stole my iPod. And I said, Jordan, nobody stole your iPod. I said, I got 12 teenagers pretty much living out of a 12-passenger van. The van is a mess. Did you go down there and search it? He said, no. I said, I'll tell you what, I am going to sleep. I'm tired. I've been coaching all day. I've been driving most of the time. I'm tired. You have till I wake up the next morning to go clean the van out to go get your iPod. If I get down there the next morning and I find that iPod, it belongs to me now because I had to pay the kid the $20 to keep the peace. And I basically told him he sold his iPod for $20.
So he said, I returned the $20 that you stole to the young man. If I go down and find your iPod, the iPod belongs to me.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went down and lo and behold, what'd you find in the van?
First thing, when I opened the door, I looked under the seat where he was sitting, and there's a beautiful iPod sitting right under the seat where he was sitting at.
So what'd you do with it?
I walked up to the room, pretty upset still. I'm a coach, I get kind of animated. And I told him, I said, look, you got to the next morning when we get back home in Bakersfield. Bring me my $20. The iPod is mine, and I'll do with it whatever I want to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Would you think if you saw a wallet sitting over there, you had the right to go into a wallet and take money? No. Of course not. Where do you think he gets that from?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Jordan Washington says his former basketball coach, Devin Johnson, stole his iPod. Devin says he was trying to teach Jordan a lesson, and he is countersuing for an unpaid loan.
Now, Jordan, why didn't you return the $20 to the coach? I believe what he says, that he said to you, I have your iPod. When we get back to Bakersfield, give me the $20 back, because nobody stole your iPod. You just dropped it on the floor. Just give me back the $20 and I'll give you the iPod. Otherwise, I'm going to sell the iPod or do whatever I want to do with it, and I'll pay myself back. Why didn't you just give him back the $20?
I didn't have the $20 at the time.
What'd you do with it?
I already spent it.
On what?
Vegas. It was Vegas. Spent it.
May I say something, Your Honor? And actually, mind you, when he left to leave with us to Vegas, he didn't have his tournament money, and he had no money in his pocket. My wife felt sorry for him and was giving him spending money during that time just to put something in his pocket. So he didn't even have to steal from the boy. It might not have been a lot of money, but it was $10 here, $10 there. And that Jordan, he didn't appreciate that.
Did the Johnsons give you any money when you were traveling?
They gave me approximately $10. They gave me $10 to eat. Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Actually, Your Honor, I was purchasing him food, as other boys. He wasn't the only one. Some of them had more money than others. When they wanted to go sightsee, I gave him money. I gave that day, over the time, I gave over a couple $100. I'm giving 10 here, 15 here, and buying their meals.
You have some source of revenue from this team?
No.
No, actually, Your Honor, it's just a neighborhood traveling team. I just started to try to help at-risk kids in our community.
How is it funded?
by car washes, and then whatever we don't make up on car wash, we've split amongst the kids, and they have to come up with $20, $25, whatever to travel.
Well, how do you get the van? The van is more than $20, $25.
Through car washes, we kick in some money. You know, we just do what's necessary. Actually, Your Honor, I have a little article and some stuff that has, to show that we've been doing it for 8 years now. We're very serious about trying to make a difference.
How long were you on the team, Jordan?
I say about 3 months.
How long were the other kids on the team?
Since they were young, childhood.
What?
When Jordan told me what had happened, Jordan, I, and a friend had met with Mr. Johnson at the park. We waited till he finished Little League football. He was coaching. And I talked to him about the iPod. He told me what had happened. And he never once brought up that Jordan owed him any money. I asked him for the iPod back. He said that he had sold it. I said, well, you're either going to have to give him the iPod back or the money. And he just basically said, take him to court. And he went on and on about street justice, and I'm from the hood, and this is how we deal with that. And I said, I don't care where you're from. Legally, you're not supposed to hold somebody's property in payment of anything.
You're right.
Excuse me.
Just a second. You're right. But what I want to know, Ms. Harris, is what did you do and say to your son with regard to stealing this boy's money because he was angry?
I told Jordan he was wrong and he was going to have to accept responsibility.
Did he give the money back?
And no money was ever mentioned to me.
Listen to me. You didn't hear my question, Miss Harris.
Did he give the money back?
Did he give the money back to the boy who he stole it from?
No, he didn't.
Well, you come back to me, Miss Harris, when your son gives back the $20 to the boy who he stole from. You come back to me and ask for some justice from the court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You can't come into a court and say, I stole, but there are no consequences. And somebody who, in effect, took the law into his own hands and decided what an appropriate response would be in his capacity as coach, I think it was wrong. Put your hand down, sir. I think it was wrong. But he doesn't have clean hands. He sort of thinks it was okay because he thought somebody stole his iPod. It was okay for him to steal out of somebody's wallet. Would you think if you saw a wallet sitting over there, you had the right to go into a wallet and take money?
No.
Of course not. Where do you think he gets that from?
He basically was trying to get the iPod back.
No, that had nothing to do with it. You're making excuses for him, Miss Harris. That's an excuse. He just said to me he was mad because he thought somebody stole his iPod, so he was going to steal somebody's money.
Yes.
There were 12 people. I mean, more likely than not, he lost it rather than somebody stealing it. As it happened, that's what happened. He lost it. He found it, but he didn't even bother to look for it. It wasn't right under his nose, so he assumed somebody stole it. But that doesn't give him the right to go and steal somebody's money. So you come to me after your son pays back the $20 to the boy who he stole from. Then I'm going to entertain his case for the return of his iPod. You understand each other, Jordan?
Yes.
Perfect. How long ago did you steal this money?
It was during the trip, July 7th.
You've had almost a year to return the money.
The boy and I made arrangements.
To what?
To where I would have to help him with his homework. I go to the same high school as he did.
And?
He struggles in a subject, and I help him, and the debt is already paid off. Instead of paying him $20, I helped him on his homework.
Why didn't you pay him back his $20 and help him with his homework anyway?
Your Honor, I find it real funny that he says he helped this man with his homework. Jordan has been in 5 schools in the last 4 years because of academic and failing grades. Caleb is a top-notch student. There's no way this young man is going to help that kid with his homework. He's 50 credits behind in school. I tried to help him out with coaching my football team to earn 10 more credits. He didn't complete that.
Does that sound right, Mr. Washington?
That's not true.
What subjects were you helping Caleb in?
Algebra, math.
Algebra is math.
Yes.
Come to me with proof, sir, that you, in fact, paid back the $20, and I'll hear your claim with regard to the return of your iPod. It is your claim that you advanced some money to Jordan.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can't create a debt with a minor.
I understand that, Your Honor, but...
Unless his mother agreed to repay you.
Can I tell you how that came about?
Absolutely.
During that time, Caleb was living with his father. I have never met the mother until after this incident, okay? When I brought Jordan home, I presented the iPod to his dad. It was not received because there was a question to where he got the iPod from.
What do you mean it wasn't received?
Well, when I tried to give the iPod to his father said, I don't want it, because I don't know where my son got it from, and through his investigation, he couldn't find out where he got it from. So he would not take the iPod back. So that's when I decided I had to go ahead and sell it, because it was a question. And when can I bring my counterclaim up?
I asked you about it, but you were hell-bent on telling me this story, which isn't, as it happened, an interesting story.
Now, when I'm suing for the counterclaim, he didn't have his tournament money. It was agreed upon without some of his parents that when we returned.
With whom?
Well, at the time it was his father, but I didn't know his mother was involved in his life at the time. So I didn't know, if it was either one. They both, whoever has supposed to have custody of them now. But on top of that,
tournament money, sir, is not unnecessary. It's not food, clothing, or shelter. So you can't hold Miss Harris responsible.
He needed food and shelter while he was in Vegas.
But you didn't make an agreement with her.
Okay.
To take him on a tournament. You made an agreement with his father.
I'll concede that, no problem. Now, I have another question. Now I'm going for harassment, because him, his mother, and the boyfriend approached my practice, disrupted my practice, and were claiming about the iPod, and then totally...
You better stop doing that, Miss Harris. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your son is a thief. He stole money. That's what you should be concerned about. I don't know if he stole the iPod. I believe the story Mr. Johnson tells me that his father says, I'm not touching this iPod because I don't know where he got it from. Because certainly I didn't give him $300 for an iPod. And I assume that at the time he was living with his father. Is that right?
No, he was there on summer vacation with his father.
I assume he was living with his father at the time.
Yes.
That's living with. Summer. Do you mean June, July, and August?
Yes.
Okay. So he was living with his father and he wasn't sure. Did you give him $300 for an iPod?
No.
Was he working?
Yes.
Where?
Paper route.
When?
He's been doing the paper route since '07.
And so the money he got from the paper route he used to buy the iPod, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Did you tell that to your father?
No, my father knew nothing about the iPod.
He says he went to return it.
Until that's the only time he knew about an iPod, me having an iPod.
Your Honor, when his father called me and told me about the incident in Vegas, he never mentioned to me about an iPod or about Coach D having his iPod. Him and Coach D are friends. They've known each other for years. And he basically didn't want to get involved because Jordan is his son and the coach is his friend.
Miss Harris, who started this problem?
Jordan, by stealing.
Right. I'm not excusing Mr. Johnson. I think that he did the wrong thing by selling the iPod, if he sold it. But your emphasis should not be on Mr. Johnson. Your emphasis should be on your son's conduct.
Yes, ma'am. He's basically a good kid, and this never happened before.
Fine. If he's basically a good kid and this never happened before, fine. But don't make excuses. And the fact that it sounds to me like Mr. Johnson donates a lot of time to the community to try to do good things, right?
Yes, but it was wrong what he did.
Yes, it was wrong what he did. He didn't steal. He exercised bad judgment with regard to teaching your son a lesson.
Yes.
That's different from stealing. That's different from a conscious act of trying to deprive someone else of their property knowing it's the wrong thing to do. And that's where your emphasis should be. And I suggest you and your son and your boyfriend stay away from Mr. Johnson. And if you want to see me again, you'll come back to see me again, having established to my satisfaction that your son's debt is paid. Do we understand each other?
Yes. Can I say
That's
one
all.
more thing?
Crum versus Granberry Foltz Williams. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Crum, somehow you are related to these three young ladies.
Yes, Yvonne Foltz is my aunt. And
who's the aunt? Yes?
And Jaleesa and Janika are my cousins.
Are they your children?
Yes.
For some reason, there was a falling out with your aunt and her children. And it is your claim that one or all of them were responsible for keying your car.
Yes.
When was your car keyed?
December 10th in the parking lot of Walmart.
Who had driven the car there?
Yvonne was driving her vehicle.
Who had driven the keyed car?
Oh, I drove my car.
What time did you get to the parking lot?
I'd say I was probably there around 9:30ish because I just got off of work. And
9:30
in the morning. a.m.
What kind of work do you do?
I do medical assistant.
Who was driving your car?
Your Honor, at that point in time, I was at work.
You were at work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of car do you have?
2008 Kia Rio, black four-door.
And where do you work?
At that time, I was working at Target Distribution in Woodbury, Minnesota.
You still working there?
No, ma'am.
Who was your supervisor?
My supervisor there was, I forgot her name because I'm not working there anymore due to all this stuff that's going on now.
I'll wait. Remember who your supervisor was and the phone number.
I don't have that with me right now.
We'll wait. Go get it.
Excuse me.
How old are you?
22.
And you?
17.
Where do you work?
Don't work right now.
What do you do?
I'm looking for employment.
What were you doing on December 10th, 2010?
I was at my cousin's house.
Cousin's house where?
In St. Paul, Minnesota.
And where is this Walmart parking lot?
It's in Blaine, Minnesota.
How far is that from St. Paul?
Like 50 minutes.
How did you get to St. Paul?
My cousin.
Came to pick you up?
Yes.
How long did you stay there?
I was there for like 3 days.
From when to when?
Saturday, and I don't know what date it was because December 10th never happened at Walmart, and the 10th would have been a Monday.
I just asked you what date you were visiting.
I'm not sure.
With your cousin. I didn't ask you. December 10th did in fact happen. It was a day.
Yeah, I went over there before December 10th, and it was that weekend, so it was a Saturday. What I'm saying is December 10th, I don't know the date, but it was days before that.
Who went with you?
My sister and my daughter. She was suspended that day, so that's also why she was with me.
She was suspended? How old is your daughter?
No, my sister.
Oh, your sister
was together
was suspended.
because it was a weekday and she was suspended from school. So we were together in St. Paul.
How old is your daughter?
She'll be 4 on April 21st.
Ms. Crump, can you tell me whether this was a trip that you had planned to make to Walmart?
Yes, indeed it was. I was going to go to Walmart to go shopping for Christmas shopping for my kids.
Yes.
And as I was on my way there, I saw Yvonne Carr following me.
Just a second. You have the phone number?
Yes, ma'am.
And the name of your supervisor?
Jill.
Just hand it to me. Thank you. So you were on your way to Walmart and you passed the defendant's car.
Yes.
Go ahead.
That's when I seen her make a really quick right turn behind me. So I kept going, and at the time I'm on the phone with my mom too, saying like, oh, I see your sister and she's following me. And she's like, just keep going to where you're going. And I drove to Walmart, which was probably about a couple blocks from there. And once I got there, I noticed they were still behind me. So then I hurried up and parked.
Over there. Look at me.
So I hurried up and parked. And once I parked, they parked only about, I'd say, a few cars from me.
Who was in the car?
It was Yvonne, Janika, and Jaleesa.
Go ahead.
So anyhow, I parked, and they were still behind me, and my mom was on the phone, so I'm like, okay, they still here. Why are they here? So she said, just go into the Walmart. And before I get out of my car, I can hear them yelling, oh, I'm going to F this B up. If she don't get out the car, we'll break the windows and get her out. And if she just act funny or say something funny, we're going to beat her up.
So, Ms. Crum, there is no question in your mind that the defendants were at the Walmart parking lot on December 10th?
Correct.
That she was not at work at December 10th at 9:30 in the morning?
Correct.
And these two were not in, I don't know, visiting a cousin for a couple of days. They were with their mother?
Correct.
And I don't really have to get into what this family dispute was all about. I don't want to know. Okay. Suffice it to say, I assume that at one time you were a close family, and because of something you're not a close family anymore.
Right.
And nobody knows how to just not be a close family without being destructive.
Exactly. Or
I don't care. That's not my problem. I don't want to put this family back together. I don't care if you're not back together. All I care about is your keyed car.
Me too, exactly.
Now, did you go into the Walmart?
I did. I actually ran and afraid of being assaulted by them three. So I ran into Walmart.
And when you came out is when you noticed your car was keyed?
I noticed the damages on my car.
And you did not see any of them key your car?
No, but I'm pretty sure they did it because
Just
they were saying.
It's very easy to determine. Okay. Can I see pictures of your car, please? Would you show me where it was keyed? Are you talking about these marks here? I don't know. It's very hard when you do these blow-up pictures to see what you're talking about.
Circle where the damage is, please.
Did you take those pictures with your phone?
I did.
I'd like to see it in your phone rather than blown up so that I can't see a thing.
And you can just move your finger towards the left and it to keep going.
Got it. Now I got it.
Okay.
Much easier to see. Thank you. Okay. So far, there is no proof other than your statement that they were in fact there. You didn't see them do it, but certainly she says she was at work. They were in some other place. So if they were lying to me about her being at work on that day, that's easy, right? Yvonne, right? If you were lying to me about not being at work.
I have no reason to lie, ma'am.
Great. And this supervisor would know whether or not you were at work on December 10th at 9:30 in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? Great.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You swore an answer. I was at work. These two weren't with me. They were off someplace else because this one was suspended from school. You set a bad example. That's why she's suspended from school.
And later today,
Them raggedy bees keyed it, and I knew she was directing it towards us.
The raggedy bees were the two of you.
Yeah, well, she accused her
I
of
just
keying
want to
it.
know, the raggedy people that she was talking about were the two of you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jasmine Crum says family members Yvonne Fultz and her daughters Jaleesa Granberry and Janika Williams keyed her car.
Jill, this is Judge Judy Sheindlin. Good morning. I'm in the middle of trying a case, and there was a date in question as to whether one of your former employees was actually working. The date is December the 10th, 2010, in the morning. Thank you, Jill. Was she there at any time that week? Thank you very much, Jill. I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Not supposed to lie in front of your children.
That I don't do.
You're not supposed to lie in front of your children and make them co-conspirators in your lie. You understand?
Your Honor, I am
Do you
not a liar.
understand?
Maybe I have got a date wrong because I was working a lot of
Listen,
overtime.
don't tell me I have the date wrong. You know exactly why you're coming to court. You know exactly the date. You swore in an answer. I was at work. These two weren't with me. They were off someplace else because this one was suspended from school. You set a bad example. That's why she's suspended from school.
No, Your Honor.
No? You don't think so? Well, you weren't working on December 10th. How much did it cost to fix your car?
I have the repair damages.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm not speaking to you.
I haven't gotten it fixed yet.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all. Step out. Think twice about your mothering.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm pretty sure that they showed you all their drama right here on camera. They're drama queens.
They're all young adults, 18 and older, who physically assaulted my daughter.
2 years ago, Yvonne cut me with a butcher knife here. She cut me here.
I've been up and down for months and months with all this harassment.
I think it's maybe jealousy on their side.
I have a son who's been shot by somebody on her authorized side of the family.
I filed a restraining order to keep them away from me and my children.
It was just crazy to me how they thought they was going to come in there and lie. I wonder why she hated on us. We never did anything to her.
I have assault charges. I have restraining orders and everything.
It's just been going on and on and on, and there's so much hatred and stuff in between the families.
With them people, there is no family.
I'm glad we came to Judge Judy today to settle that, and for once, somebody spoke up for us, and it looks right.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Rowe, step forward.
20-year-old Shanae Lewis is suing former friend, 20-year-old Brianna Rowe, for keying her car. Shanae claims Brianna admitted to the crime on Facebook.
Miss Lewis, it is your claim that the defendant keyed your car, caused damage in the amount of about $2,500. Miss Rowe says she didn't do it. How do you know each other?
I know Brianna because we were friends in high school. We hung out with the same people and went to the same parties, so we...
All right, so that's how you know each other.
Correct.
When was your car vandalized?
In the summer, around July 2010.
What do you mean around July?
July 2010. I don't know the exact date.
Did you report it to the police?
No, I did not.
Do you remember where your car was?
Yes, I do.
Where was your car?
It was parked at a mutual friend's parking spot in an apartment.
Where?
In Citrus Heights, California.
What's the address?
I do not know the name of the apartment.
I didn't ask you the name. What's the address?
I do not know the address.
What do you know?
I know that my car was parked in a covered parking spot that was allowed by the owner of the apartment.
Well, you can't tell me if it was allowed by the owner of the apartment because that's hearsay.
Okay, well, my car was parked in a covered parking spot.
And?
And it was keyed.
And?
And I have proof that Breonna Rowe did it.
I'd like to see your proof.
Well, we were at a mutual friend.
Listen to me.
Yes.
I want to see your proof.
Okay, I have documents of the pictures of my car.
Listen to me. I want to see the proof.
Okay, here's the proof of my car.
I don't have to see the keys car. You don't even know when it happened. I want to see proof that the defendant keyed your car.
Okay, well, she admitted on Facebook to doing it.
Let me see it.
This is the conversation right here, and it's highlighted right there.
Bird, you have younger children. Would it be possible for you to interpret this gibberish that is highlighted for me?
I'll give it a shot. Okay, laugh out loud. I can care less for you. I keyed your car because my best friend didn't like you. But I'm too grown to go bad on you on Facebook. I'll leave being ignorant to you. I guess anyway, have a nice day.
It's almost like reading Sanskrit.
Yes, I don't dig text speak, but I know it.
Could you show that to the defendant?
Yes.
Take a look at that. Is that your thesis?
Oh, I have one of these too.
Well, I'm asking you, is that yours?
Mm-hmm. Did I write it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you tell her you keyed her car?
Because she had made a post that said, Granddad is getting my car detailed.
That said what?
She was getting her car detailed and fixed after them raggedy bees keyed it, and I knew she was directing it towards us because she accused us of keying her car.
The raggedy bees were the two of you?
Yeah, well, she accused her
I
of
just
keying
want to
it.
know, the raggedy people that she was talking about were the two of you. You knew that yourself without having been named. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Because she had already
Just a
accused
second.
us of doing it.
So even though you weren't named, you decided to tell her that she was right, that you did in fact key her car. And if Officer Byrd read it right, you told her why you keyed her car.
I wrote it to make her mad.
Well, why would you think if she already knew that you and your raggedy friend were the ones that keyed her car, why did you think it would make her mad if you admitted it?
No, she thought Elena had keyed her car.
No. She talked about two raggedy people.
She didn't say how many.
No,
people.
she said after them.
Yes.
Well,
and then,
raggedy, and she uses the word with an S.
Mm-hmm. Plural.
That would be two.
Yes.
Two.
But
So
it was
you,
3 of us at the house.
3 of you. Well, how many of you keyed the car?
None of us.
Well, then why would you admit to keying her car?
Because she accused us of it. After her car got keyed, she came in the house, threw papers at Elena, and told us we keyed her car.
There's something wrong with you. Honestly, there's something wrong with you. I mean, I can't get myself overly exercised about this case, quite frankly, Miss Lewis, because you don't even remember what date it happened. How many times has your car been keyed?
None.
Well, one.
Well, once.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
This is your Facebook page?
Yes.
And this is you in this bathing suit?
Yes, if that is a bathing suit.
Well, I just want to know.
Yes, that is me on up there.
Is there any reason why you think that this is an appropriate picture just to send around the internet?
I did modeling, and that was a picture that I like, and I feel that I wanted to post it.
I need to take deep breaths. I need to take deep breaths.
It's only going to get worse.
Your Honor, me and the defendant had been friends before this happened.
The defendant and I had been
The
friends
defendant
also.
and I were friends before this happened. And the reason why I believe the motive that they had...
I don't care what their motive was. She admitted it. It's irrelevant to me what her motive was.
Okay.
I assume that you had some sort of a falling out. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Now I'll see the pictures of your car.
Okay.
When did you take these pictures of your car?
I took them when it happened, and then I took some more before I came.
And since you don't know exactly when this happened, sometime last summer, I assume you've been driving around with your car exactly the way it is?
Yes.
Do you have an estimate to have it fixed?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see. No, they're not repairing any dents. She didn't dent the car. She keyed it.
There's dent marks and scratch marks on
Very good.
That.
Yeah, okay. Could you explain to me why you filed this lawsuit for $2,500 and the estimate that you had was $15?
Because I am suing for, I believe that, for the scratches and for punitive damages.
For punitive damages for what?
Because every time that I have to drive around my car and have the word written on it, that's embarrassing for me to have to ride around and be disrespected like that. I have a newborn son and I don't want that portrayed for me. I'm not.
How old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
What do you have a newborn son for? I thought you went to school.
I do go to school.
Who takes care of your newborn son?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, spend $500 to get your car painted. Judgment for the plaintiff and the amount.
Case number 78 on the calendar, the matter of Ellsworth versus Neri Sanchez. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Ellsworth, this young man used to be your boyfriend, and you are Miss Neri, you are his mother.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you lived for a period of time with your boyfriend and his mother, and you made each of them a series of loans. His mother at some point told you to leave the house. You left. You want your money. Each of the defendants say that they owe you nothing. Money that you gave Miss Neri was for expenses, your expenses while you lived in the house, and her son James says anything that you gave him were gifts because he took care of certain things for you. When did you move in with Miss Neri and her son?
In June of 2004.
And what were you doing at the time?
At the time, I was working for Forever 21.
Now tell me about the first loan you made to Mrs. Neri.
The loan I had made to Mrs. Neri was for $2,000. She said she had needed it for the down payment on the house that we were going to move into. She stated that she had asked her dad to borrow the money, and he had said no, and that I was the last resort, and if I couldn't loan her the money, we would have nowhere to live.
Where had you been living?
I had been living with them in an apartment.
So you all wanted to move someplace else together. Did you sign a lease?
Yes, I did.
On the new place?
On the new place, yes. I was told that I was not going to be a renter on the house, and that the only reason why I needed to sign the paperwork was because I was over 18.
You have a copy of the lease?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Well, the three of you were clearly on the lease, right?
Yeah.
So you know, I mean, you read this document, didn't you?
I didn't read the whole thing, no.
Why not?
Because she said she needed it signed, and so she stated that.
Miss Ellsworth, you go to school?
Yes.
What school do you go to?
Bakersfield College.
I assume that at least in your spare time when you were younger, you watched a little television?
Yes, I do.
You watched enough courtroom television to know that you're not supposed to sign something that you don't read?
Yes.
So let's not play with each other. So you signed it.
Yes.
And you should have read it. And if you didn't read it, that's not my problem.
Yeah. I did pay rent on the house.
Until you were evicted?
Yes, pretty much.
How much was security and the deposit on this apartment?
I think altogether it was like $1,800. I'm not quite sure.
$1,850.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that money from?
From her, because the reason why we had to move from the apartment is I was at the apartment for over a year already. I came home one day from work and she was living in my apartment. I told my son, look, this cannot work. You know, I don't want her living here. You know, she has a home. She told me she had nowhere to go because her mom was an abusive mother. So, you know, I kind of felt sorry for her. So the next thing I knew, her dog Louie, she has a little dog Louie, he was tearing up the curtains and everything. So I'm a single mom, and I couldn't just come up with that money just to move. So, you know, I had no choice. I asked my dad, and my dad goes, well, it's your fault. You should have never let her move in. You know, why you have to move? Because the reason why we had to move, because she wasn't on the lease. It was breach of contract, they said.
I can understand if you're moving in together, she's on the lease, she should pay a third of $1,850.
Okay, we moved in that home after we got kicked out of the apartment.
Listen to me. You don't have to get kicked out of the apartment. All you have to do is put the two of them out.
He was
and you
on-
can stay.
Right. Well,
He's not going anywhere without her. You could stay. Put them out.
No, she said we had to move.
Listen to me. $1,850. Only a third of that. She's on the lease. Only a third of that is hers.
Right.
Why did you throw her out?
I didn't throw her out. She was there. Her and my son were always arguing. It got to the point where I'd come out of work and I didn't want to go home anymore. She was possessive with my son, very possessive with my son.
Did you tell her to leave?
I did not tell her she had to leave. She got upset because I came home one day, the place was dirty. I figured if I'm working, in their home, they should at least have the place clean. We got in an argument. My son heard me say, me and my son arguing. She got up and she left. I didn't verbally say, oh, Aubrey, you have to leave.
She had told me all the time that I had brought sin into her house and that I was bringing chaos and that she didn't want me living there. Her son told me numerous times, I don't have to leave, it's you that has to leave. My mom doesn't want you living here. She threatened to kick him out all the time. She threatened to kick me out all the time just to have, in my opinion, a control.
What?
First of all, my mom never kicked her out. Me and Aubrey used to argue a lot. Yeah, we did.
So it's a good thing she left, right?
No, I don't know if it's a good thing
Listen
that
to
she
what I
left.
said. Stop thinking about what you're going to say next
I'm
and start
not.
listening to my question. So it's a good thing that she left.
Yes.
For the sake
Stop.
of argument,
I'm speaking
it was.
to you.
Hey.
Yeah, give him a good one.
Okay.
So it's a good thing that she left.
Yes, but she
Has she-
wasn't told to leave.
No, it came to her by mental telepathy, like Karnak, you know. You wanted her to leave, and your mother wanted her to leave.
Honestly, no, I didn't want her to leave. Honestly,
He
no, I
didn't.
didn't.
He was upset and crying. I didn't ask her to leave because she was still on the lease. It was up to I think March. She left on her own. She came out storming and she left on her own. That's the honest.
All right, you got $1,850, Miss Ellsworth. That she has to give you back. I don't believe. How old are you?
In 30s, in my 30s, late 30s.
30, in my 30s, late 30s.
Yeah.
What kind of an answer is that? How old are you?
39.
She's 18. You're 21 years her senior. She doesn't support you. You take care of her. All right. Don't go into little things with me. I'm not interested in little things. What does he owe you for?
He owes me for his truck. I helped him fix his truck. I got him a new tire, which was $76. And then I had helped him fix his truck because he had gotten rear-ended February of 2004. He could not.
February of 2004? Yes. Where were you for the last year?
I've been trying to collect it. We didn't get the truck though, starting to fix until September.
Does that make sense to you?
She didn't give me all the money.
What did she give you?
I paid her half of the money back.
What did she give you is my question.
All she gave me was $150 because I paid $150 of it back to her, so it totaled out to $300. And with my $150 coming back to her, it canceled out. And then I went and paid a couple months of rent for her that she didn't pick up on. And this whole thing, we both assumed that we were just going to break it off even like that. Because, we were living together, and it's then when we break up, she goes, oh, well, now you owe me for this, and you owe me for that.
Do you want to know something, Mr. Sanchez?
Yeah.
I agree with you. How's that?
I mean,
I agree with you.
I honestly believe if we were still together...
Just a second. Give it to him good. Give it to him good. Miss Erie. Good. Give it to him good. Because he doesn't get it. I just said I agree with you.
Okay.
Stop. No more.
Listen to your mother.
Can I just add one last thing then?
Why do you want to add something? I just said I agree with you.
All right.
You want to tell her you love her? You want to get married? You want to propose to her here?
No, I already have
Then just
another
listen to your mother.
girlfriend.
Your mother's telling you to shut up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It wasn't my truck.
Listen, Miss
You didn't have
Ellsworth.
a car for a while, and I was
Mr.
driving
Sanchez,
you working
you want
back.
your mother to slap you upside the head?
And later today,
He was stealing from the casino.
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody forces you to steal, madam.
Well, this gentleman here did.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Aubrey Ellsworth says both her ex-boyfriend and his mother owe her money. James Sanchez and Joanne Neri claim Aubrey is controlling and possessive.
When you're in a relationship and you have $100 here and $76 there and $40 there and $50 there, courts don't want to get involved with that if the relationship doesn't work out.
It wasn't my truck.
I don't care whose truck it was. It wasn't my truck.
You drove it.
It was a truck that
Like
you
it was
at
yours?
least rode in. That's what you do when people live together.
Not when it gets impounded. He got it in.
Listen, Miss
You didn't
Ellsworth.
have a car for a while, and I was
Mr.
driving
Sanchez,
you working
you
back.
want your mother to slap you upside the head?
No.
She's going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Next time he opens his mouth, Miss Neary, give it to him good. You don't have a lawsuit against Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez and you live together in a monogamous, physical relationship, and I am certain that during the time that you lived together, you went out to eat, he paid, sometimes you paid, other times you went to a movie, you went to a fair, you went out, he bought you a Frankfurter, he bought you a cup of coffee, you bought him,
I wish
whatever
it were
it
like
is.
that.
Whatever
It's
it
hard
is.
to be like that if you're as jealous as you are. If you weren't so jealous, it could have been better.
No. Harder!
I have a restraining order on him.
Harder! Judgment for the plaintiff,
there's
that
a
is
court-
Miss Neary, in the amount of $1,850. Your lawsuit with regard to Mr. Sanchez is dismissed. That's all.
Please excuse me, step out.
He became violent with me, and he started stalking me, following me, going to my job.
As far as harassing and stalking, she was the one writing me letters all day in class and following me and my new girlfriend outside of school.
He wanted to marry me. He wanted to be with me. It became an obsession that became violent and physical.
She socked me a couple times where I had to call the cops on her and almost have her put in jail.
It got to a point to where my work was saying, I'll put the restraining order on him for you if you don't.
She's mad because I don't want to get back with her and I found a better girl.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Richter versus Falk. Step forward, please.
20-year-old physical therapy technician Levita Richter is suing her former friend, 21-year-old caregiver Adriana Falk, for bail money, a loan to get her car fixed, and the cost of a bridesmaid's dress.
Miss Richter, you and the defendant had been friends, according to the complaint that I read.
Yes, Your Honor.
And there was a point when she was in some difficulty. Did she come to live with you at that point?
Yes, she did, Your Honor.
When was that?
About October?
October of 2004?
Yes.
Who were you living with?
My fiance?
Who's now your husband?
Yes.
Is that him?
No.
Who was this?
This is my witness.
According to you, there are 2 loans outstanding. And in addition to the 2 loans, you claim that Miss Falk owes you for this bridesmaid's dress. I assume that this is the bridesmaid's dress. She was an attendant at your wedding. They were supposed to pay for their own dresses. You claim she did not pay for hers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Falk says that both of those times when you gave her the money, it was a gift, and the bridesmaid's dress she says she paid for even though you still have it.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you go to live with Miss Richter and her fiancé, Miss Falk?
I was having some problems with my mother and needed to get out of the situation that I was in.
Now, when was the first time that she gave you money?
When this guy right over here got me into trouble at my employment, I was taken to jail because of him and his roommates and what they had asked me to do for them. And
well, why don't you explain that to me further?
Okay, I was working at Colusa Casino in Colusa County. And
Where is that?
Part of Northern California.
Go ahead.
Me and Mr. Weiser had started dating, and him and his roommates knew obviously that I worked at a casino and asked me if I could possibly give them players cards with instant rewards on them, which is like a credit, and they can go in the casino and play. Well, I told them a number of times I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable doing it. Now I'm being charged for all 4 of those gentlemen and what they asked me to do.
Just a second. So they asked you to get them these cards, and you said no. So how could you be charged with anything?
Because I did it anyways.
Oh, so you did it. You did something illegal.
Yes, ma'am.
Levita Richter says former friend Adriana Falk owes for bail money, a loan to have her car fixed, and the cost of a bridesmaid's dress.
Explain to me how you did something illegal.
I would go in and add the instant rewards to their cards. That gentleman right there would come in and play his, not only, and all 4 of his.
I don't
roommates'
understand the
cards.
instant rewards. What does that mean?
It's just like a credit you can go in and play on slot machines. You can't cash it out. The only thing you cash out is what you win, but you cannot cash out anything on that card.
But you can play with it.
Yeah.
And you knew you were doing, in effect, you were stealing from the casino.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Nobody forces you to steal, madam. That's
well,
not
this
anybody.
gentleman here did.
No, he didn't. No, Miss Falk. That's not true. If I asked Bird to falsify a document for me, and I've known him for a very long time, 25 years?
At least.
At least. I guarantee you, he would not do it for me. And he likes me. And if I asked somebody that I cared about to do something illegal, I would not be angry if they said, no, that's illegal.
Well, they were when I said no.
So then what you say to somebody who's asking you to do something wrong is, I'm sorry. You can be angry, and if you want to not see me anymore, you don't see me anymore. If you want to not be my friend, you don't want to be my boyfriend, whatever it is. But you don't blame somebody else for you're doing something criminal.
There are charges pending on them, but I don't know what they are yet.
Are there charges pending against you?
Yes, there is.
For what?
For second-degree burglary, and if it's burglary in the second degree, and then the grand theft as well.
Oh, well, I'm not going to ask you any questions about that because those matters are pending. I'm sorry. You represented by an attorney with regard to that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stupid. Anyway, you got into trouble and she bailed you out?
Yeah. He was on his way home and he called her and asked her to bail me out of jail.
Who asked her?
I had called Mr. Weiser and told him that I was in jail because he knew that I was going to meet with the security officers at the casino that morning. Then I ended up being arrested after about an hour or two of questioning. I was taken into custody and arrested, and I called him. He was the first person that I was able to call, and he called her and asked her to bail me out.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Who called?
The bail bond gentleman called me at work.
Oh, but she didn't call you.
I spoke to her, and she asked me to come bail her out.
When? You said the bail bondsman called.
I talked to her after the bail bonds gentleman called, and I was allowed to talk to her. And she was crying. She said, please come get me out of this place.
You went there and you bailed her out?
Yes.
What arrangements did you make for her to pay you back?
She was to pay me back. She had promised me that she would pay me back because I wasn't just going to give it to her. I was getting married in a few months and I didn't have that money to spare.
Well, I want to know what conversation did you have with her with regard to paying you back? Don't tell me what she understood.
She
Ms.
just
Richter.
said, I promise that I'll pay you back. I thank you for bailing me out.
When did she say that to you?
In front of the bail bond gentleman, when we were signing these papers.
Let me see the papers. Okay, what was the next amount of money?
It was the $500 that I loaned her to have her car fixed.
Okay, let me hear.
She was driving a Geo Metro. It needed some repairs. It was $1,000 to have it fixed. Matt was my witness. He was going to pay half, and I was going to pay the other half. I wrote him a check. He deposited it into his bank account, and he
well, just a second. Why were you going to pay half? I don't hear what.
She didn't have the money to pay it, and it needed to be fixed, or else she wouldn't be able to drive back and forth to work.
Well, when did you have that discussion with her, Miss Richter?
It was
on the phone while I was at Winco.
It was not on the phone. She was in my...
Just a minute. Where was it?
I was at Winco with Mr. Weiser at the time, and she called me and told me that her and her husband now were going to loan me the $500.
No, just a second. She said she and her husband were going to loan you the $500. Perfect. And she did. So why don't you have to pay her back?
She had me arrested.
What did she have you arrested for?
Charges on credit card fraud.
And that's another thing that's pending against you? I don't want to hear about it. So she's alleging that you took money from her credit cards. And she called and had you arrested. Sounds right to me. $815 so far. Now let's hear about the bridesmaid's dress.
Bridesmaid's dress, I was getting married March. She was my maid of honor. I have a list of the other two ladies that were my bridesmaids. They knew they were all to pay for the dress. If they did not pay for the dress, they were to not be in the wedding. Being she was my supposed best friend living with me, I assumed that she would pay me back for it.
Don't assume anything.
That's my fault.
That's your fault is right. It's a very nice dress. I hope you can wear it. You don't assume anything. After she didn't have $315, which she didn't give you back for the bail bondsman, and $500 she didn't have for her car, really $1,000 she didn't have for her car, how you could legitimately expect her to pay for a dress, expect her to pay for a dress, is something I quite frankly don't understand. So it looks like a very nice dress. It's yours. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $815. Thanks. That's all.
You've been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
What's your daughter's name, the one who's in the car with the defendant's stepdaughter?
My daughter's name is Vanessa.
Vanessa, could you step up with your mother? Where's your stepdaughter, sir?
Yeah.
Step up here. What's your first name?
Michelle.
You want Mr. Overton to be responsible for your car that your daughter was using. I assume because she's a minor, it's registered in your name? Because the defendant's stepdaughter was driving the car. You say she exercised undue influence over your daughter. She's older. to force her to let her drive the car. The car was totaled. Mr. Overton's stepdaughter tells a very different version of the events. Neither one of the two adults were present during the course of these events. So I'm going to find out from the girls what happened, because you want Mr. Overton to be responsible for the following: the $250 insurance deductible on the car, a towing fee of a couple of $100, and also $1,000 in equity that you or your daughter had in the car so that you could go out and buy another one, right?
Yes. And in addition, my insurance also covered for over $1,000 of medical expenses for Michelle.
She was injured?
Yes, some wrist injury.
So she was injured? But your insurance covered that?
Yes, my insurance covered everything.
Okay. Well, what you have so far is $450 worth of expense. So you want to tell me why you think they should pay you $1,450?
Okay. I think it's important for my daughter to tell what happened on the day of the accident.
Okay, fine. On what date was this incident?
November 26th.
And who was in the car?
Me and Michelle.
I was in the car with Michelle, or Michelle and I were in the car.
Michelle and I, yes.
How old are you?
I'm 16.
How long has your mother let you drive this car?
She had been letting me drive it for about 2 months.
And tell me how it came about that Michelle was driving the car. Look at me when you tell this story.
Okay, from the start, me and Michelle, she asked me to take her for a drive. So we left South Eugene High School, and I told her no when she asked to drive my car.
No, she asked you to take a drive.
Yes.
Where did she ask you to go? Don't speak to your daughter. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you may believe her, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't believe her. I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to believe everything that she tells me, because if it doesn't make sense, I don't believe it. You're her mother, you want to believe her. Go ahead.
Okay, so we left.
You're in school. You're in class.
I didn't have class that period.
Where did you meet Michelle?
I saw her in the hallways.
And said hello?
Yes.
She said hello?
Yes.
What was the next thing that was said?
To tell you the truth, I don't remember.
Good. How did you get into the car?
I remember her asking to drive, and I told her no.
Where were you when she asked you to drive?
She asked me repeatedly to drive my car.
I don't care. You're not answering my question, madam. You're in school, and somehow you got to the car. I'm not interested in where you want to go with my questions. I'm interested in where I want to go with my questions. Do you understand?
I understand.
So, you're in school. How did you get to the car?
We walked to the car.
Why?
Because we went for a drive.
Now, when you say we went for a drive, you were driving.
I was driving.
Good. Where were you going?
We were just driving.
So you were taking a ride?
Yes.
Had you ever driven in the car with her before?
Yes, I have.
Had she ever asked you to drive your car before?
Yes, I have.
Shh.
I mean,
Yes, she has. And did you ever let her drive your car before?
No, I did not.
Did it make you uncomfortable when she asked you to drive the car?
No, it did not, but I did not want her to drive my car.
You answer my questions. Prior to November 26th, she had been in your car and she had asked you to drive the car before.
Yes.
Often?
Yes.
And did it make you uncomfortable when she asked you to drive the car?
Yes, because she...
Then why did you let her get into the car on November 26th?
Because we were friends.
Don't put your hand up.
Okay.
Do you understand where I'm going?
Yes, ma'am.
Where I'm going is, if somebody asks you to do the wrong thing, which is, I want to drive your car, and you're not supposed to let anybody else drive your car, then you don't put yourself into that position by letting them get into your car so that they can ask, can I drive it again? Can I drive it again? Can I drive it again? Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Good.
You're
Okay.
right.
Right. So there we have fault, blame.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Make sure that you don't give me any of this baloney story about her fainting. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand, Mr. Overton? Mm-hmm. That was a lot of what?
Oh.
Right!
And later today,
Let's not be foolish here, because I'm not stupid, and I would expect you to think that I think that you're stupid. So giving you ownership of the car would make him an idiot. You're not an idiot, are you?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 16-year-old Vanessa Shoemate says former friend 17-year-old Michelle Negron totaled her car. Michelle says she had Vanessa's permission to drive.
So now you're in the car, and she asks you again, can I drive the car?
Yes.
And you said?
I said no.
So what happened?
I pulled over on the side of the street after we were driving for a bit, and I told her she could drive because she had asked me repeated times while we were driving on that trip.
So finally you gave her permission to drive the car.
I did.
And she crashed it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Your version.
We were leaving.
Make sure that you don't give me any of this baloney story about her fainting that you put in here, okay? I don't want to hear any baloney story about her fainting and she asked you to drive the car for 3 blocks. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
We were leaving school. We were actually going to get something to eat. And we got to the store. She went in and got something to eat. She came back out. And I did ask her to drive. She said no. And then I asked her again, and then she said yes.
Fine. You see how simple it was when we got rid of that fainting baloney that you told your stepfather? Do you understand, Mr. Overton? Mm-hmm. Okay? Because I know you wrote in your answer that she was going to faint, and my daughter didn't want her to faint, so she said she would drive. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of what?
Bull.
Right! Correct. So, your daughter insisted, didn't insist, asked once, asked twice. That doesn't mean she's supposed to say yes. That means that they're both responsible for what happened. Would that be a fair statement, Mr. Overton?
Yes, it would.
Good. So, you feel that you should be responsible for half of those expenses?
Yes, ma'am.
So?
Your Honor, I would like to ask our witness, Stephanie, to come forward because she has a pretty important piece of information.
Sure. Stephanie, step up. Stephanie, what do you want to tell me?
Just about an incident prior to the accident.
Go ahead.
Vanessa, Shelley, and I were on our free period, and we were going to go get food. So we go to Vanessa's car, and Vanessa forgot something in her locker. So she went back to go get it, and Shelley asked before she left, "Can I drive your car?" And Vanessa said no. But then Shelley gets into the driver's seat, and Shelley turned on the car, and I asked her, "Do you have your license?" And she said yes. And Your Honor, that's not true.
Go ahead.
She backed up the car, drove forward a little bit, right in front of Vanessa when she was coming back from her locker.
So, I mean, what are you trying to tell me? I don't understand. This is a whole big story that I don't understand. What are you trying to tell me?
That she drove her car prior to the incident before the accident. Like, she had asked to drive her car and had been nagging on her. And
That's what you want to tell me. She asked and she nagged. Listen to me. Where do you live?
Eugene.
Okay. Are there any bridges in Eugene, Oregon?
Maybe one.
Is there a bridge there?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Shelley says to Vanessa, I want you to stand on top of the bridge and I want you to see if you can dive down, right? I want you to see if you can dive down and come up. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. But I want you to see. I want to just see if you can float, if you can dive down here and you can float. I don't want to do that. Oh, please, won't you do that? Okay. You don't do something you're not supposed to do because you nag. You say it's because she's older?
No, her statement is that my daughter had gone to her locker and said, don't drive my car. Michelle got into the driver's seat when my daughter wasn't present and drove her car.
Is that when there was an accident?
No.
No,
but
of course not.
It indicated that Michelle was willing to do something that wasn't right when she knew she didn't have a license, when she had been asked to not
Your
drive.
daughter did the wrong thing.
I know that, Your Honor. And
Fine.
Your daughter
So what
has been given consequences.
So what I'm saying to you is, she gave her permission to drive the car. Mm-hmm. It would be no different from your daughter giving a 6-year-old permission to get behind the wheel of your car. Mm-hmm. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
It's no different from giving another minor. She stands in your place when she's driving your car. You are the car owner. You are the owner of that weapon.
Right, so
a weapon is an automobile in the hands of someone who is inappropriately skilled to drive it. You have the choice. You have given that weapon to your 16-year-old daughter, and you are responsible for the misjudgments of your 16-year-old daughter. So if you can't rely on your daughter not to exercise perfect judgment. You have to accept the consequences. Because but for your actions, Mr. Overton wouldn't be here. You got to follow that logic. That has to be crystal clear to you. Mrs. Shumate, you exercised judgment by giving your daughter permission to have that car. And but for that fact, we all wouldn't be here today. And she wouldn't have gotten injured. He could turn around and sue you for the injuries that his daughter sustained because you exercised bad judgment in giving your daughter permission to have a car when she didn't know how to say no. So you should be grateful that I find that he, because I'm hoping that he will force her to do the right thing, is responsible for half of the $450. Not the $1,000 that you want in addition to that, but half of the $450 that you had in out-of-pocket expenses. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $225. That's it. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was told that my daughter had been in an accident.
My daughter made a mistake, and we've put a lot of consequences into place because of that.
A little upset, worried about her.
I've learned a lot from this. I was not like hounding her for the keys at all. I tried to talk to Shelly, but she seemed very like she didn't even realize that what she did. We're not friends anymore.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Martins versus Seitz. Step forward, please.
24-year-old engineer Jeremy Martins is suing his ex-fiancée, 23-year-old orthodontic assistant Keely Seitz, for the cost of a car lease. Keely is countersuing for the money she put into the vehicle.
Mr. Martins, according to what I've read, you and the defendant were either engaged to be married or boyfriend and girlfriend back in the year 2000.
Yes.
Were you engaged?
For a short amount of time, we were engaged.
And during that brief period of time, you decided to lease a car for her. And she didn't have sufficient credit, so the lease was in your name.
That's correct.
But it was clear, the arrangement was that this was her car, and she would be making the payments on the lease. Is that right, Ms. Seitz?
Your Honor, we did lease the car together, and he told me on several occasions that I had terrible credit, but to come to find out that I have not.
Don't get into your spin yet. Let's just stay with the facts, the basic facts. The car was leased in his name, but was for your use, and you agreed to make the payments. Is that correct?
My name was also on the car, too.
Fine. And you broke up when?
The summer of 2001.
And you were the one who drove the car from September of 2000 to August of 2001. And when you broke up, you took the car.
That's correct.
And when you left, you started your life anew. So what happened, Ms. Seitz? You had the car, and then you returned it to him at some point.
Yes, I did.
When did you return the car to him?
In November of 2002.
You didn't need it anymore?
I asked him on countless times if he would please sign the vehicle over to me, and he kept on telling me that I had bad credit and that it was too much paperwork and things like that.
Just a second. In November of 2002, how much time did you have left on the lease?
I think about another 2 years.
But you decided to buy another car?
Correct.
What month did you buy another car?
In December of 2002.
So, Mr. Martins, you got stuck with the car and turn-in fees, etc., and you feel as if she should be responsible for that.
That's correct.
And what were those fees?
To end the lease early, it cost $3,746.95.
How come you're only suing for $1,800?
In the state of Kansas, $1,800 is the max you could ask for.
I see. And Ms. Seitz, you are counterclaiming because you say you used your car as a down payment back in the year 2000 for this lease.
Correct.
And since he turned the car in, you should get your down payment back. Is that right?
Correct.
Don't bet the farm on that. That comes under the category of chutzpah, which means a lot of nerve. You drove this car for 3 years. What makes you think you're entitled to anything?
Well, Your Honor, I honestly asked him on several occasions if he would sign over the vehicle to me so it'd be just in my name, and he would not.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Seitz. When you asked him just to sign the vehicle over to you, had you made arrangements with the financing and the lending institution to take his name off the loan?
He said that he was going to look into that.
No. You look into it. You're driving the car. Why should he look into anything? There's a difference between taking his name off the car and giving it to you and still being responsible for the underlying loan. Do you understand the difference?
Yes.
Sure you do. So let's not be foolish here, because I'm not stupid, and I wouldn't expect you to think that I think that you're stupid. So giving you ownership of the car and him still having the liability would make him an idiot. You're not an idiot, are you?
No, ma'am.
Of course not. So why would he do such a thing? If you make arrangements to lease the car yourself and to have him released from any obligation to the lending institution, fine. But you just wanted him to turn it over to you? Ridiculous.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why do you think you should get anything back and not owe him a substantial amount of money?
Because I feel I put down the car, which was $6,000, and I faithfully made payments to him for 2 years.
You made payments for the car. He took the money so that he wouldn't get stuck, so that at some point you couldn't say, well, I made the payment, and then the company says you didn't make the payment, so you made the payment to him. He wrote out his check to the company. He didn't make any money off this deal. It cost him $4,000 for you to have a car. You think that's fair? Do you think that's fair? Because you wanted a new car. You managed to get a new car. You said, I got this old lease, and I'm going to be the only person in creation who's going to be able to walk away from a 5-year lease. Listen, you're not entitled to anything back from him. He is entitled to the $1,800, which is the maximum allowed in his jurisdiction, which is all he's suing for, of $1,800. It cost him $4,000 because you wanted a new car. If you had kept the lease for the next 2 years, like you agreed to, he wouldn't have had a $4,000 expenditure. That was your agreement. You were going to keep the car and make the payments. You just wanted a new car. Period. It doesn't mean you can walk away from your obligations just because he was nice enough to put his name on the form. Get real. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800. Goodbye.
Parties are excused.